All
Good.
right. All right, everyone. We are at, uh, damn it, I'm going to mess up this name again. Furinkazin. And, of course, you guys have all been invited here to be a part of the tournament. Let me find the name. Tournament of the Dragon Fang. And you each either received a letter from your Daimyo or a letter from the Jinsin imperial family to come to the duel. Um, and you each either decide because of your Daimyo sent you, or you are trying to gain the honor and glory um, for yourself, but for your family and clan. So with that, we are actually going to start at. You guys are there at the city, and you're outside, and you see all the other different Ronin. You see all the sponsors, but you do not see um, your host at the moment. So with that, we are actually going to go ahead and kind of go around and introduce everybody's character and basically do your gift to your Ronin. But I'm going to start off with Josh, like I'm going to do the gift to him from his sponsor. So Saruchi Ozen actually comes up to you, and you see that he's holding a box, and also he's holding a katana and a wakizashi with him. And as he approaches you, he calls out to you, Hiroshi. Uh, Damn it, say your name again for me, Josh.
Hoshiro.
Thank you, Hoshiro. Um, he he calls out to you, Hoshiro.
Saruchi-san. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, and he kind of gives you like a little bow, not so much like he would another Bushi, but he does show you a little respect.
I
Um,
bow completely respectfully to him.
mhm. And with that, he holds out his hand and presents you the gifts.
Uh, Saruchi-san, I cannot possibly accept. I understand that you've been honored. You have done enough to sponsor me in this. To give me such a katana and wakizashi of such splendid nature is simply too much.
Oh, please, you are sponsoring not only my clan, but you're also sponsoring my family. And as Josh said, the wakizashi and katana, are actually very splendid made. Um, on each of the hilts, you will see uh, the wasp symbol or the wasp symbol on the wakizashi and the mantis symbol on the katana.
You honor me to present me with such gifts, though I feel they would be put to much better use within your own clan or within your own family. Uh, it is too great of an honor for one such as I.
Um, Damn it, I'm having a brain fart, but he he says, uh, nonsense. For one, I do not have any other family member here at this tournament, so giving this gift to them will be quite hard. But you have shown your worth on deserving these. And
Well,
again, he presents it to you.
I will bow respectfully to him. Thank you very much, Saruchi-san. I will try to put them to good use. And with that, I will accept them after having refused them twice.
Mm.
After I accept them, I take out a small wooden box and open it, and it's a set of tanto designed for throwing. In offer of an offer of you being willing to sponsor me in this prestigious event, I wish to present you with this set of throwing tanto. And he would know the significance of this due to the fact that he and myself had a throwing knife challenge. when we first met.
Hmm. And he would respond with, "Oh wow, that or no, oh my, that is a splendid gift, but um, I do not really deserve this gift. As you know, I lost that competition."
You may have lost Suruchi-san, but you participated with much honor and skill far beyond others that I have been in such challenges with. Please accept these as my humble gift to you.
And with that, he kind of puts his hands on his lips, like he's not sure what to say next. But then he replies, "But surely you could use these blades much more than what I could."
My skill is with the sword and the wakizashi. My skill with knives is not of any great importance. These I had made in my family village of Nanashi, and I had them made specifically to gift to you for this event. These It brings me great honor that you would choose to sponsor me for such a prestigious event. This is my only real humble way of repaying you for this great honor you gift to me. And he presents them once again.
And with that, this time he does take the gift. And he are they in a sheath at all, or are they just
Uh,
naked blades?
they are in a sheath,
Okay.
and it's a box of three.
Yeah, he takes the box and he takes one of the blades out and he's looking at it and he's just quite amazed actually. The detail work that is put into it. Um, Basically, these coming not from a great clan's family, it's coming from Ronin's family. He is just amazed at the craftsmanship. But with that, he slides the blade back and closes the box. And with that, Josh, who do you see next? Who's the first one out of our group that catches your eye?
I'll go with the only one that I know,
Okay.
Moto-san. I would
And
actually, uh, bowing politely to Saruchi-san, I would look over as Moto approaches. Moto-san, it has been quite a while.
Hoshiro-san, it has indeed. I see that the day treats you well already.
Yes, yes, it does.
Hopefully it will our sponsored combatants also.
The unicorn is sponsoring a combatant in the event today.
It is indeed an interesting bit of information. I am sure you will be more intrigued to know of her.
I look forward to meeting her.
As she does you as well.
And of course, I would introduce Surichi to Moto and basically explain where I met them both.
Would my character know is Saruchi of a higher rank?
Then you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and yeah, he's you would know that.
That he is?
Yes.
Okay. Saruchi-sama, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And he'll bow.
Um, he would bow to you as well, but then he would kind of stop for a moment and he goes, "Well, did you introduce your first name or no? Or
No.
did you, Josh, introduce?
Yeah,
Did you just say?
I would have
Okay.
introduced them by now.
Okay.
Both both last and first.
How would you say your first name? Katagara?
Yep,
Okay.
that's the one.
And he kind of stops there for a second, and he's saying it not quite out loud, but you can read, if you read his lips, you would see that he's saying your name. And he goes, "Oh, I think my nephew mentioned you in his letters." And
Your
with that, you
nephew.
know that he's referring to Suruchi Mushi.
Mm. Ah, yes. I have met. I have met this man. I hope his words were kind. I know that my temperament can be less than agreeable at times.
Oh yes, he said uh, very much kind words, but he was more amazed with your skill with the horse.
It is what my clan is known for. One day you should come to Unicorn Lands. You can see exactly what it is to truly ride. And with that, I have brought a gift for you as the host of this tournament.
I'm going to stop you there. Suruchi's not the host of the tournament. He's
Okay.
just sponsoring Hoshiro.
Okay.
So we will get to that in a minute.
Gotcha.
But okay. So who do you see next out of the two left? You could just
Um, yeah, so I would definitely notice the large crab carrying two huge axes, I would imagine. Pretty noticeable figure.
okay.
Yeah, Haruma Togemune is quite a large figure. Um, he easily stands out a good foot and a half taller than most of the people in the crowd. And he'll be kind of walking up. He has a white-haired woman to his side that is wearing kind of muted robes, and she carries a single katana at her side, no wakizashi. Do you want me to go into the gift scene that would have been done before arriving here?
Sure. You can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I thought it would happen now, but okay.
Um, I'm not going to go through the back and forth 3 times thing.
That's fine.
Basically, the gift that she had received was these muted robes. Haruma is very adamant about not getting her hopes up about joining the crab. That she's being evaluated to then go to a 20 goblin winter. Like, she's not guaranteed a chance into the clan. She's just guaranteed if she wins or is successful that she will get a chance to join the wall to eventually join the crab. He's putting her through the hoops, basically. Um, the white-haired woman is Koga Marco, who she claims to be from the Koga family, which is a legendary family of Ronin that many believe don't exist. In reality, she just took that last name. She has no direct relation to them, at least that she's aware of.
Okay.
She would have given Haruma a gift, which is a small music box that he left at home, finding little value in such a trinket.
I gotcha. As you look around, you don't see that many crab around. There's actually only 2 other crab members, but you do see the rest of our group, and they're talking to um, the mantis, Suruchi Ozen, which you have not met before, right? This character has not.
No.
Okay. But with that,
I'm not sure. I don't think Haruma's actually met any of them.
nope, not that I can recall either. Um,
Okay.
but with that, you do see a crane, kind of not necessarily walk up beside you, but he is also walking in as you are. And with that, London, you can introduce your character and go ahead and do your gift scene that you would have done before as well. And then after that, we'll do Kirk's as well, since we kind of skipped that.
If Kirk were to go and do his gift scene, then I'll do all mine.
Okay. Kirk, do you want to go ahead?
All right, so again, I won't do the whole refusal 3 times thing, but so his gift to Rose would have actually been a helmet for her armor, black in color to match, her clanless armor as it is now, but with an elegant like horsehair plume from hairs that would have come from um, Katagara's horse, used to create the plume on the helmet. Her gift back to him was actually a poem written in a non-Rokugani style that he would have also left at home at this time.
Okay.
All right, and then if it's down to me, Yuki Doji Hiroyuki. You can tell just both from the mon he's wearing. He's a proud member of the Crane clan. However, along with his daisho, he also equipped to his belt. You see a jete, knowing that this is used to really disarm. Along with his magistrate, you know that he's really more for protection than to fight. He's an older gentleman, which stands out in this crowd. Being a middle-aged magistrate, he's a little bit too old to have the combat reflexes of a young man, but yet he's too young to have really mastered the wisdom of a someone who's been a magistrate for a while. And he's been kind of silent about what his assignment is, but you see him being very friendly and talking to multiple people, listening very carefully, and almost just through awareness and insight, just trying to not only hear why they're there, but discern some motive about what they would do there. Um, as a magistrate who travels very often, I'll once again skip the triple gift refusal, but he will have a very nice chest made from the Oshari Fori, which is the main forest in the Cranelands. So very nice wood and very nice craftsmanship, which bears the crane symbol on the outside, and this chest alone would be a great gift. However, within it, he has packed several of the best spices and teas and just other goods from the Crane Land that he enjoys to have when he is far away to remind him of home, to share with the host to help remind them also of their travels to the Crane Land. He would likely uh, walk up to any of the three, but since um, is it Hoshiro who is he'd likely walk up to Hoshiro and bow and introduce himself. Um, and
You know I'm a Ronin, right?
I, oh, is that who? Oh, sorry, I read. Yeah, all right then. Haruma Toke Mune. You're just the easiest name to say. Um, yeah, he will walk up and engage in simple conversation.
Good luck with that with Haruma. He
Well,
doesn't seem like the type to do small talk, but
yeah,
anyways.
I will still attempt it, just being
Okay.
a magistrate and believing that, diplomacy and talking is always a good way to get to know people. So I would approach and say, are you here to watch the combat or take part?
My clan has sent me to sponsor this Ronin, and he's going to kind of thumb over to the white-haired woman that says nothing. She's got her head kind of down. If she
Ah,
proves herself, she'll be granted access to a 20 goblin winter.
she does appear strong. Do do you believe that he has what it will take to make it throughout the competition?
From what I understand, her specialty is dueling. I'm not sure my clan's interest in a duelist, since the wall is more important to us, but I do as I am told.
Well, of course. Perhaps some of that bravery will be what it takes to face against these great fighters. However, I wish your travel here was well and that you enjoyed the contest. And then I'll kind of walk off, just realizing that he doesn't seem that open to have small talk.
Okay. Do you wander over to the other uh, three, or do you
Um,
just kind of
I
wander off to talk to random people?
yeah, I would just kind of talk to person after person. Eventually, I'd make my way over to them if
Okay.
I need to, but there's nothing about them I believe that sticks out. Um, to
Well, the one
Figured
thing
out.
that would stick out is a Ronin, a unicorn, and a mantis talking together. Like that's just like a
uh,
bad joke.
yeah.
But like, unless there's other than that, there's nothing really that would strike out. So
Yeah, so I just make my way talking, visiting, and eventually making my way over to them. I would probably approach the unicorn and once again just keep the same opening line. You know, are you here to compete or to spectate?
I am here to spectate. I am sponsoring one of the contestants.
Very well. Are they around?
She is preparing herself. Mental preparation is just as important as physical in a duel, or so I'm told. I've never been much for the practice myself, but she seems to have a knack for it.
Perhaps dueling isn't like normal combat. However, perhaps that means it takes greater focus and greater dexterity to take on one opponent than to take on many.
This is certainly possible. Having never fully engaged in it beyond my youth, I cannot say what the art form holds to those who continue to compete.
Well,
And yourself? Are you competing?
I am here mostly to spectate, uh, to make sure that all the combat stays between the members who have signed up to the competition and not among us spectators.
Agreed. Watch my contestant closely. I have a feeling that the unicorn may be gaining a new member amongst its ranks after today.
Well, I wish you and your contestant the best.
Thank you, good Crane. I am afraid I didn't catch your name.
Uh, I am Doji Matsuyaki. Okay.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Doji-san. My name is Moto Katagara.
I hope to watch the combat with you. And
It will be an interesting affair indeed.
and eventually, having made my way through most of the rest of the room, I would probably eventually be uh, looking around and seeing that Hoshiro has been the only one that I haven't spoken to.
It's going to be kind of at that time that you realize that the gigantic crab and his quiet rodent have been following you. He does not look very comfortable here, but you're the first non-dragon he's dealt with, so he's just like, yeah, I'm going to go with this guy.
Yeah, and as I notice you're around me, I'm making my way throughout the room. I introduce you to the ones I'm talking to, even if you have nothing to say. I just feel like it's I introduce you as a friend.
When introduced to Moto, I believe is the last name, right? Yeah, Moto. There'll be a very genuine bow of respect to you. Being a crab, he's very conscientious of the unicorn's efforts to protect Rukagon as well.
And he would definitely give the same respect to the Haruma as well, especially that he's dedicated his life to chasing down creatures of the Shadowlands. So he would probably bow very deeply at that point. Fair Crab, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. My name is Moto Katagara.
It is always good to meet a Moto. Consider me a friend, and he'll give another quick bow. If there's anything that my family or I can provide assistance with, your family has been quite helpful in the past. Though we have lost our keep, we intend to take it back.
Aye. A goal that I hope to see the crab achieve in my lifetime, if not help aid them in such an effort as well.
I would have to speak to my Daimyo, but I would gladly welcome the assistance of the Moto family.
Anything to put another one of those foul creatures to rest.
Just this big jovial laugh emits from Tokamune as he starts laughing about it. He says, I have heard that the times have been getting darker. We may yet have our chance to do so again.
It seems that the influence of the darkness manages to seep beyond the wall. So yes, I believe that time is coming once more.
Forgive my rudeness. This is my sponsor. I'm the sponsor. She's the entry, I guess.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
This is my combatant. He kind of motions over to the white-haired woman. He says, her name is Koga Mariko. She is a Ronin from the south. Have you brought your own champion?
I have indeed. She is not here with us at the moment, so I will apologize for my rudeness. I will have to introduce you both after the affair has concluded. However, yes, my entrance name is Rose. You will meet her shortly.
Excellent. I look forward to a good challenge. At least it'll keep my mind off of our current location. And he kind of looks around, very dissatisfied being in the Dragonlands.
Agreed. Not my first choice of competition grounds. However, when one is invited.
Of course.
And he'll just sort of scoff after that. Like, not at you, just at sort of the rigors of
you get kind of that
so
acknowledgement of, yeah, I was invited here.
Yeah.
Alrighty. With that, it's around this time, though, that a gong starts to sound. And you notice as you look around, a lot of the other sponsors and combatants are kind of forming at tables that the servants have set up. And also, what are them cushion thingies called? Oh, I forgot the names, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Basically, the cushions are set out for each of the tables as well. And it doesn't seem like there's an exact order on where people are sitting. It looks like, you could sit wherever you want.
Okay.
So, do you guys want to try to sit together, or do you want to sit separately? Do you want to sit closer to where the host is going to come out, or further away? It's kind of like a U shape, but the end of the U, or I should say at the bottom of the U, is going to be away from the host, the furthest away.
Knowing my mission, I would likely sit by someone in the Lion or Crane clan that I fear might be in danger.
Okay. And as you look around, there's not there's only one line here, which is kind of odd because they normally like um, not necessarily battle, but they like competition. They like to fight.
How about the Cranes? Are there many of them?
There's about 2 or 3 cranes, other than yourself, of course.
Right. Uh, Noticing there's only one lion, I would probably sit relatively close. I'm not sure by the time to introduce myself before the combat begins, but just enough to keep an eye on what's going on around.
Okay. You do know that there is a lot of Kakita here for the crane. Crane, because that's the dueling family for the crane.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the rest of you? Nobody speaks, then you guys are going to set up a little kid's table. So
I was going to say, I think Haruma will eventually take a seat, not necessarily close to the Crane diplomat, because it's court. Tokamune doesn't really have a reason to be in a courtly situation if he can avoid it, but relatively close so that he can still communicate and have a conversation with him, because since entering the lands, like this group has pretty much been the most warm reception he's received. The dragon he considers very aloof and just they lack focus. They really haven't even greeted him. That sort of thing.
I would sit next to Saruchi, or at the same table at least, obviously, seeing as he's my sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
But since I've got here, have I already gotten a room at the local tea house?
Yeah. Actually, no. Sorry. They have provided everyone with basically a room, and then I say a room, it's basically a tent. It's kind of like a one-room tent kind of deal, and they have that kind of spread out throughout the grounds. But it's only probably about 10, 15. Well, no, hang on. Let me rethink my math and measurements. It's about 25 yards off in one of the directions. Did you need to go there for something really quick, or?
Yes, as the gong sounds, I will look at Saruchi. Saruchi-san, I must excuse myself. I should probably get ready before the event truly starts.
And he kind of stops you for a second before you go running off fully. Well, you do realize tonight is just the ceremony. The actual event's not going to start until tomorrow.
Yes, I realize that, but seeing as you've sponsored me and you've given me these great gifts, I feel that I should be wearing the swords that you have provided.
And with that, a smile just kind of comes on his face because he's really trying to get you into the mantis. And with that, he lets you go and goes and finds him and you a seat.
That quickly go back to the tent. Open the box. Is that the kimono he provided?
Yes, and it's in the mantis, or actually it's in the wasp colors.
Would quickly put that on. Put my katana and wakizashi in a lock box and lock it. I'm assuming they provided one.
Sure.
And slide. Once I have the new kimono, Jesus, why can't I think of that word? On, tie my obi back on, slide the katana and wakizashi in it, and actually untie my hair and quickly put it up in an actual full-on top knot.
Okay. Make yourself look presentable.
Yeah. Then head back out and sit down at that table.
Okay. And what about the Fearless Moto? Where would you like to sit?
So he'll probably sit close to Saruchi and Hoshiro. I mean, not like right next to them, but again, or kind of close enough to have a conversation if necessary. And at this point in time, Rose actually would join the proceedings. So she's a like ivory-skinned woman with red hair and blue eyes, and she wears a sort of, very sort of plain black and tan kimono and robes.
Cool. Um, and with that, I'm not 100% sure on how everything the court's supposed to go, but I'm assuming that the host enters and everyone kind of bows, correct? Or how would that work out exactly, Chris?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. The host would be announced first. The host would then come in, and everybody would bow. The host may give a speech, not necessarily required, and then food would be served, and then open conversation or open forum would be held.
Okay. All right. Of course, after the gong sounds, it does take probably about 10, 15 minutes, so Hiroshiro has plenty of time to change and all that. But um, the gongs will sound again, actually, and then they announce Lord. Would would his wife enter as well, or no? Or can she
It's
enter?
totally up to the place, but if they enter at the same time, they would both be announced.
Okay. Um, yeah. The I guess herald. I'm going to go ahead and use that word. Announces Lord Jinsil. Man, I'm butchering my own NPC's name. Kinsai and Hitomi. Or no, he would say, and Lady Jinzel Hitomi. Um, and with that, they would step forward, and of course, everybody else in the room bows, and I'm assuming that you guys bow as well. Um, and you guys rise up, and he kind of puts his hands out to basically let you guys be seated. And he says, "Welcome, welcome. I thank you all for coming at short notice. But as you can see, we just finished building Furinkazin, and with that he outstretches your hand or his hand, sorry. And when he does, if you turn and look out on the view, it is quite spectacular. You're somewhat at the base of the mountains, but you're elevated enough to where you can outlook the valley, and um, it has just snowed earlier, and so you got that nice fresh carpet of snow everywhere, and also you will have sakura trees around the estate as well. It's like I said, a really beautiful sight. And with that, um, he will say, um, "Wow, I completely spaced." But let's not worry too much on pleasantries and enjoy yourselves. And with that, he kind of claps his hands a little bit, or not a little bit. He claps his hands, and servants come out with the food. And at the same time, get ready, Chris. Fireworks are shot off.
All right. Okay.
And
Let's see here. Mariko's going to kind of like lower her head a little bit more, but she needs to make a save. Let me see, what was her target number for this?
for those of you that don't know, his Ronin has a disadvantage, and I forgot. But basically, she has to make
It's
a willpower.
epilepsy.
Yeah, that.
Willpower of 15 to avoid a seizure.
Yep.
So 2 keep 2.
Ooh. So she fails.
She immediately starts seizing up, and she'll fall out of her seat. Haruma just looks like mortified because he doesn't really do court, and this is probably the worst thing that could have happened to him. He looks down as she's just thrashing on the ground, and He then like after a few moments when it's like almost too late, he's like he turns to a servant. He says, "Fetch a doctor."
Okay. What about the rest of you? You see this uh, white-haired woman just kind of collapse on the ground and start shaking. What do the rest of you do at this point?
I would try not to make a big deal out of it, just so that I don't want to cause any more dishonor to be on either
Okay.
Harutoke Mune. So just I see it happening, but I try to look away at the fireworks instead.
Is she just getting worse and worse? Like, what's?
She has to keep making a save every minute, so that lets me know how long she's seizing for.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I would make a mental note of this, due to the fact that I will be facing this person, but I can't run over to her. I'm trying to like keep my eyes on the fireworks, and not draw attention to them. So like, get the fucking doctor.
I assume after 3 minutes, a Henan doctor will arrive and realize that there's nothing you can do until the seizure just stops, because they don't have like the correct medicine for that, most likely.
He will, or him and a couple of others will kind of pick her up and take her away, so she's not bothering the rest of the guests.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like, there we go. Finally, holy
Oh, I'm
crap.
sorry, I forgot. The 12 would have succeeded because it's a 10 to
Oh.
come out of the seizure.
Okay. But man, she went after it.
That is a long time to be having a seizure.
Yes, it is. Nobody else really noticed. Well, everyone noticed. That's
Mm-hmm.
something you're not going to avoid. But it looked like nobody was paying attention. But it does look like there was one Phoenix that was just drawn to it. Like he couldn't take his eyes away, kind of deal. Like he wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah. Haruma's going to look at that phoenix and just kind of glare at him to try and make him break his like trance like state as he stares at the girl with epilepsy.
At first, you don't succeed, and I'm basing this off the second will roll. And then by the time the third will roll comes around, he notices you glaring at him, and then he kind of quickly realizes what he's doing, and he turns his direction back towards the fireworks.
Okay.
But with that, actually, I got another question. When would the gifts for the hosts happen? Would it happen before
After
or
the
after?
meal, most likely.
After. Okay. With that, the servants come out with quite a bit of, not elaborate, extravagant meal, which normally, the meal is a bowl of rice and maybe one piece of fish and maybe a little soup kind of deal. This is a little bit more, you have quite a nice helping of rice and two pieces of fish, some soup, and some, oh, I'm trying to think of their actual name. It's basically pickled cucumber, I believe. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember the actual name, but it's more than what you would normally get. And with that, I'm assuming you all are partaking of the meal.
Yeah. Haruma will have one of the servants bring food to his Ronin, Mariko, so that she at least gets something to eat, so that once she composes herself, she can return if she needs to, or retire for the night.
Okay. And what about the rest of you? Who wants to eat the poisonous food? No, I'm joking. It's not poison. Or is it?
Katagara will eat as much as he possibly can, like without it being like an issue. Like he knows how much is okay to still be like to still appear non-gluttonous, but he will eat every like grain of rice that he can get away with up until that point.
Yeah, and the meal is a little bit disappointing to you because normally for you guys, you would eat meat with your meals, and sadly, there's not really any meat. So the meal,
Part of why he's stuffing his face so hard.
yeah,
Hoshiro would eat enough for a normal meal due to the fact that he will be in duels probably in tomorrow. So he would eat just enough for a normal meal.
Hiroyuki would eat until he was full, but no more.
And Hoshiro, you would notice that Rose has not taken her eyes off of you since you guys sat down, like since we all sat down at the table. Like even during the seizure and the fireworks.
I'll notice it, but I'm like, to say, hey, you got a problem or anything like that would be like horribly dishonorable. So eventually he will just be like, you said her name before,
right? Yes. He would have only referred to her as Rose earlier, being that you didn't have a chance for him to give you like an actual formal introduction.
But she is sitting next to you.
Correct.
Rose-san, was it? Moto said your name. I haven't actually gotten an introduction. Or Moto-san said your name.
Rose of the Lonely Guard.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Rose of the Lonely Guard. I am Hoshiro of the Reluctant Blade.
Yes, I know. Moto-sama has spoken highly of you.
I am pleased that he thinks as highly of me as he does.
I am intrigued to see you in the tournament tomorrow.
As am I intrigued to see you. It should be an interesting round of bouts.
And she definitely looks like she's sizing you up, but not in either a combative or sexual way. Like, just looking intrigued. Like, almost as if she's, like, studying your face.
Yeah, yeah. He just says, I look forward to seeing your form in the duels tomorrow.
As do I. Until then, Hoshiro.
Yes, until then, Rose-san.
and it's about this time that the gong kind of sounds again, and at this point, the herald is going to start announcing the different sponsors to come up, and basically they're presenting their gift to the host, and also introducing either a Ronin or a Bushi to the host on saying, hey, this is who's fighting, basically. I will go ahead and let you know, Doji, that the lion that is close to you, it is Akodo Ming was introduced as the sponsor. And with that, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you are actually called up, not necessarily next, but you are called up after a few names because you are the closest out of our group to the host. And we won't go ahead and go into your gift because you already mentioned it before. But, and again, we won't do the refusing thing because that's just going to take up more time and my brain only has so much power left. But he does accept your gift after refusing it twice.
Right. Yeah.
And with that, I believe either Haruma or Moto was closer, so I'll let whoever wants to go up next. First one says anything gets a void point.
I don't want your void points. Yeah, you could do Haruma next.
Okay.
Haruma will kind of stand a little embarrassed and not quite sure of himself at this point, and he says, "Honored host," and he bows. "Forgive me, my champion has fallen ill, but her name is Koga Mariko." At that, there's probably some whispers from the general presence there because of the name. Haruma will kind of ignore it, and he'll say, "I have brought you the gift of water." I actually do want to play out the refusals because Haruma's being a dickhead.
Okay. Well, in that case, when you said that your combatant is ill, you could see on his face that he's actually a bit concerned, and he will say, "Oh, I hope she will be able to participate in tomorrow's matches."
The doctor will inform me later.
Okay.
I present you the gift of water, and he'll have a small gourd with a cork in it.
Oh, what a... And he kind of paused at that because he's not sure what to think of this, because it's just a plain gourd, right?
Yeah, it's a completely unornate gourd. It looks like the kind that you would use to like carry water on the road.
Yeah. He's not sure what to think of this because he's more used to more elaborate things, and with that he'll say, but with this gift I sadly cannot accept it. For I think you could use it a bit more than what I could. And he's trying to say that as politely as he can without being a complete dick as well.
Haruma says, "This gift was intended for you. I picked it up along my travels at Clearwater Village. This is water from the bay, a bay that has produced many champions. I present it to you."
And with that, like, it's kind of like a light bulb goes off in his head. He understands a little bit more, and he kind of gets a little smile on his face when you said produces champions. Um, but again, he will say, "That is such a wonderful gift, but are you sure that I should take it? Shouldn't you give that to your Ronin? And maybe she will be the champion tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but, at the end of the tournament."
Haruma kind of mules over the thought, and you can see that he's definitely considering just being like, "Nope, not going to offer it again." But then almost like this sense of duty hits him, and he says, "No, it is my family's wishes that I am here to create a better understanding between our clans. This is a gift not only from myself, but from my Daimyo." And he kind of says that last bit like through his teeth.
Okay. And with that, he gladly accepts your gift, but he actually pops, when he receives the gifts, he pops open the cork and smells of the water, like expecting almost like something like wine, for this being a special water. Of course, you guys can't see
It's
that
just
in the
like
quotations.
crummy bay water from like the open bay in Clearwater Village. It
Yeah,
smells
and
like dirty salt water is all.
he
Or sorry,
smells it, and
salt water.
he smells it, and he's like taken back. Like, he was expecting this nice, crisp smelling, water that you would get from like a spring, and when he smells that seawater, he just like he almost makes a face and loses his composure, but he holds it in, and he corks it, and he just kind of hands it off to his wife that is sitting next to him.
Yeah, Haruma's
Letting
doing
her deal with
basically
it.
the bare minimum to get by on his gift at this point. He is not happy about being in Dragonlands or having to give them a gift.
Gotcha. And up next, they call Moto Karagara. There we go. Before we get started, do you want to do the refusal 3 times, like actually play it out, or do you want to just kind of skip it?
I'll throw a dealer's choice. I'm happy to play it out if you want to. If you don't want to mess with it, that's cool too.
Yeah, I personally don't, if that's all right.
That's fine. Gracious host, for our invitation to the tournament, I have brought to you the gift of a saddle blanket woven from the finest craftsmen in Unicorn Lands. And he would place the blanket, in front of the host. And for your entertainment will be competing Rose of the Lonely Guard, daughter of Dokuhana of the Beguiling Blade, having found her way back to her rightful place in Rokugan.
And now Hoshiro's staring at her. At least a little.
And at that point, Moto would turn to Hoshiro and just smirk, very smugly.
And Josh, you're supposed to look at her, not her ass.
He's looking at her, not her ass.
And with that, you can tell the host is kind of sizing up your combatant. Did you describe her before, like her build and all that, or I know you described her hair color.
So she's slightly above average height, fairly slender in build, not like slight and waifish, but athletic, but without being overly muscular. So, but she's only slightly taller than average.
The host is talking to you mostly, but he does mention her a little bit, and he says, I hope that she will stand up to the competition. She doesn't look like she... I'm trying to say this without myself being a dick. She looks like she may not last throughout it, but I have been surprised before in these tournaments. A lot of times it seems like the... Not scrawny. What's another word for scrawny? The...
Slight?
Yeah,
Slight
I
would be
guess.
the nice term.
A slighter... wow, I'm really spacing. But anyways, he's basically saying that he has been surprised before how someone of the smaller stature has won a tournament.
I have on very good authority that hers is a line of quite capable warriors, though I suppose we shall both see tomorrow. And he turns to Rose and smiles and nods.
Okay. And with that, the next person that is called is actually Suruchi Ozen. Which, Hoshiro, are you going to follow him up there, or are you going to stay back?
I would repeat whatever the other Ronin have done.
Okay. So you would follow?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, he gets up there and he presents a gift of a bow. But if any one of you have spent any times in the Mantis Lands, this isn't their normal traditional bow that they use. Excuse me. This is more of a short bow. which is mainly meant for decoration purposes, not combat use.
However, this
And
is a member of the imperial family, right?
yes,
Okay. As they approach, Hoshiro takes a knee. His head is he is firmly looking at the ground.
okay. And after Ozen actually does his gift, he does introduce you. This is Hiroshiro. Shit, what was it? Not the Silent Blade. Reluctant Blade?
Reluctant
Yeah.
blade.
And then he will go to mention, I have seen his skill, and he is quite proficient at winning this tournament in the upcoming days. And with that, the host kind of laughs, and Hiroshiro, you will feel, basically it's like knives stabbing you in the back from all the other combatants, because Ozen just kind of painted a target on your back.
Yeah, I know. As he says this, Hoshiro would stand up, bow to the host, turn around, bow to the crowd, and immediately take a knee and look at the ground. Pointed with his direction pointed back at the host.
Okay. Ozen will say a few more things to the host, but it's more of something on the quiet nature. Hiroshiro, you would actually hear everything he's saying. He's basically trying to strike up a deal, or not a deal. That would be super wrong. But he kind of hints of maybe trying to do some sort of trade at a later date kind of deal. And with that, it's basically dismissed and walks off the stage, and they call up the next person.
Hoshiro would once again bow to the host and follow Ozen off the stage.
Okay. And of course, the ceremony kind of keeps going. They introduce all of the combatants and the sponsors, and if you guys look around the room, there's about 200 people here. It's quite a bit. But at that note, unless anybody else wants to do anything more specific, we will kind of skip ahead, because after the meal, the host is going to basically retire for the night, and then we will kind of skip ahead.
I feel like I would like to talk to this lion.
Okay.
Which, just knowing the threat, I would likely walk up to him, and if he's of higher rank, bow, and just say, I have not seen any other lions at the contest in the opening ceremony. Are any more coming?
Before I answer, I'm going to kind of pause there and see what the rest of the group is going to be doing.
All right.
Does anybody else want to talk to a certain person, or?
Yeah, I'll probably be talking to Moto as I get back to the table, kind of glaring at him.
He finds this extremely entertaining.
Okay.
I'll let London go first.
Yeah. And what about Haruma? I'm guessing you're just kind of bored and wanting to get out of this social situation?
Haruma will kind of passively think about his champion and the situation that happened. He seems to be more self-involved at the moment, but you'll notice that he's eaten more than his fair share of fish.
Okay, did you like ninja someone else's fish kind of deal, or?
No, like he'll tell the servants to get him more fish.
Okay. And they do bring that to you.
If the servant looks at him funny, he'll be like, "I am twice the size of any man in this room. I require more food." He's on like the rock diet where he needs to eat like 10 pizzas a day.
I got you.
How tall is your character, Chris? If you don't mind my interjecting real quick.
So crab are generally tall, so I'm gonna say he's probably pretty close to like, what did I say? I'm 7'5". I wrote it down.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No,
I'm
you
not
are
huge.
insanely
Really
huge. Okay. Never mind then.
And he's like
I was,
400
I was gonna
pounds.
say my character's like 6'4", so he might be close. No, not even. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, 7'5", 400 pounds, no big deal.
Nice.
Yeah, the servant will not realize anything at first, but when he brings you uh, your other or brings you more fish, he does kind of look at you for a second, and then when you make that comment, he's like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense because you are this massive man sitting at this little tiny table."
Mhm.
All right, so back to London's conversation. You ask him if there's any more lion coming. Um, Akoto will actually kind of turn to you, and he's not at a higher station. From what you could tell, it looks like you guys are both at the same level. He will give you a polite bow, and then say, "No, no other lion are coming for." And he kind of looks away for a second, and he says, "They are preparing. They are preparing themselves." And with that, he says, "I'm sorry, you are."
All right. Would I know what he's meaning when he's saying they are preparing themselves?
Mm, crap, I completely spaced on what skills you may have. Not you, but I mean skills in general.
He could courtier, maybe.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give me a courtier for because my PDF is deciding to be stupid.
All right. I'm not skilled in
He
courtier.
could do courtier with emphasis in like gossip or manipulation, depending on how he wants to take it.
Yeah, I don't have any of that stuff, so I doubt that it will be that great. Dang it, where's it? All right, there's my roll 20. Um,
So,
but while this is happening, I would introduce myself as Koji Hiroyuki, a magistrate from, and
okay.
all right, did my roll go through?
Yeah, it went through. Uh,
Oh, attack. Oops, roll wrong.
yeah, but it's fine. I mean, it did the roll the
Yeah.
way it's supposed to. Um, you don't know exactly what he's meaning at that, and he introduces himself as Akoto Min. Of course, you heard his name when he was being introduced. Um,
Would
and actually, I've been messing up. It's supposed to be a female, but oh well, we'll stick
oh,
with
female.
man.
uh, from what I knew about my mission, would the this line be aware that someone might be attacking, or
From what you understand, no, you don't think that either parties know what's going on. Um, and that's just, I'm meaning that as the lion and crane aren't aware of what's going on. Now, this individual might, but you seriously doubt it.
right, then once again I would say, uh, is this your first time in Dragonland, or do you come here often?
It sounds like a really bad pickup line. Um,
Yeah, yeah, really.
he
So
kind
you
of looks
come to
around.
Dragonlands often.
Yeah.
He's looking at the actual land as he's looking around, and he says, though it's not as beautiful as the plain lands where I'm from, this place has its own beauty. Uh, but no, this is actually my first time being this far into Dragonlands.
Uh, I would bring up, uh, without trying to bring too much, um, you know, warning that something might be, happen. Because I know that if someone panics, things will probably get worse. I would say. Do you Are you aware of any type of troubles or problems you might have around here? I have many connections, and since no one else from your clan is here, I'd be more than willing to volunteer to help you in whichever way I can.
As you're talking though, you do notice that he's kind of becoming a little bit uncomfortable talking to you. But with that, he will say, "No, I am fine. I don't need uh, your assistance at this time."
And um, I will let him know. Well, I shall be around for the entire tournament. Please do not be afraid to ask if there's anything you need. And I would excuse myself, but still kind of keep an eye um, on this figure throughout the rest of the night.
Okay. When you dismiss yourself, of course, he kind of gives a, a really quick bow towards you, and then he immediately like turns and ignores you, and he goes back to talking to the person that was next to him. And you
Who's
notice
the person
something
next
else.
to him?
A dragon,
All right.
which I don't know the families off the top of my head.
No, that's good enough.
Okay. But you do notice that he is actually quite far from any of the other crane in the room. Like, if you, from the way the room is set up, he is the furthest point away from all of them.
All right. I would uh, take note and keep enough distance, hoping that if anything occurs, I can get there in time. But otherwise, I would do what magistrates are good at and just spend the rest of the time talking and um, even maybe getting a little bit more hungry and eating some more food.
Okay. And with that, we will jump to the conversation between Moto and Hiroshiro. Hiroshiro. There we go.
Moto-san, interesting champion you have selected.
Yes, Hoshiro-san. I thought you would appreciate.
With that, he kind of looks over at Rose. So your mother was Tokuhana.
She was. Hence
Very-
my interest in the tournament. Once I was approached by Katagara, and he told me of your involvement. I've been trying to find you for quite some time.
Very interesting. Perhaps we should talk privately later.
Perhaps.
With that, he kind of looks at Saruchi. Saruchi-san, I should retire for the evening. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. Moto-san, it is a pleasure to see you again. With that, he kind of stands up and walks back to his tent after giving polite bows to each.
A pleasure as always, Hoshiro.
And Ozen will bow to you, of course, and he says, "Yes, yes, of course. You must get your rest. I expect great things tomorrow."
I will do my best to honor your clan, Saruchi-san. Leave
Okay.
it.
Running away with his tail between his legs. We
Hope your
gotcha.
character doesn't get anxiety with all this pressure they keep putting on you.
Yeah, tell me about it.
All right. So does anybody else want to do anything? If not, then it's up to you guys if you want to go through like your nightly routine kind of deal, like what you would do before bed, but it's not 100% necessarily. That's kind of up to you guys.
Hoshiro would entirely meditate and practice his sword. Hope his new sister doesn't show up, or expect his new sister to show up, or something.
When you say you're practicing with the sword, which sword are you using? Yours or the one gifted to you?
He would be using the one gifted to him because he plans to use it during the duels, so he needs to get used to the feel of it in his hands.
Okay. And it does kind of feel a little bit stiff. Like you could tell the wrapping on the handle hasn't been used, and so it's not as comfortable as what yours is. But you think that you will get used to it quite soon.
Okay. If need be, he will actually undo the wrapping and rewrap it, so it better suits his style.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, Haruma will kind of travel the halls, and out of sheer luck, because he just doesn't like the dragon to begin with and thinks they're too contemplative, he happens to stumble across a room of like people that are just meditating. And for a while, he tries to be quiet and polite, but he can't figure out how to get out of this room now that he's stuck in there. So for like a good hour, he just kind of quietly waits for them to finish meditating, realizing that they're going to continue for a while. He just shakes his head and finally storms out of there, disturbing probably half the room in the process. He will not check on his champion, however. Once he goes to bed, he will goes to his room. He will send for a servant to ask the doctor if she is able to compete the next day.
Okay. You would actually receive a message quite soon after that saying that she will be able to. And I'm not sure how fast your character is going to be going to sleep, but you would hear her come into the room. I say room, into the tent next to yours, because they are, putting sponsor and I guess duelist together,
Right.
kind of deal. So you would hear her go in probably about, I'd say about 30 to 45 minutes after you enter your tent. So depending on whether if your character goes to sleep immediately, will depend on if you hear her or not.
Yeah, he's gonna go to sleep immediately.
Okay.
Not having a proper weapon rack, he's just gonna because you said it's a tent. Is this like a what are they called? The tents that have the poles in the center. Is it one of those?
Yeah.
He's gonna
Go
lean
ahead.
his axes on that center tent pole, since there's not really a axe rack here.
Yep. Just for clarification, in the rooms, of course, you will have your bedding in there. You will have a small desk for whatever you need to write, if you want to write a letter home or whatever. And there are paper there supplied for you, and also there is a two chests in the room. One to basically put whatever belongings that you want to not get stolen, kind of deal. Of course, nobody's going to come and steal, or at least they assume nobody is. And then another chest for basically clothes and things like that. And then you also do have a daisho stand, but again, like you said, you have axes, and
Yeah, my daisho set's a little different. Knowing that this is often the case, he's gotten practice on how to set them aside and lean them on stuff. Like he's not entirely careless, but he's a little careless. Is there also a straw man in here for me to set my armor on?
Oh yes, I completely spaced on that. Yes, there would be.
Okay. Haruma is going to take off this very finely crafted new armor that he has been wearing. He showed up to dinner in full heavy armor as well. Not a very polite choice, unfortunately.
I kind of see that it was a little bit unpolite, but you are a crab, and that's kind of to be
It's
expected.
excusable, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, crabs show up for battle, like wherever they go.
He'll set it on the stand, and as he takes off the chest, he'll pull it up, and when he lifts up the chest piece over him, because it's kind of the flap style, on the inside is a mon that a small maker's mon that marks it as a gift from the Moto. And he kind of acknowledges the symbol, and he sets it on the rack. And he then goes through his nightly creed, where he swears an oath to take back Shiro Haruma, which is kind of something that his whole family does. They kind of reaffirm this idea that they will take back their homeland, that they will not let it sit in the Shadowlands.
I asked you earlier in the chat, but I don't think you saw it. Is your character still Dishonored, or did you fix that?
No, I'm still Dishonored. She lives.
Okay. I was just wondering on that. And also, I completely spaced to say what the overall tournament gift was. That was completely my fault, which I will go ahead and correct now. And actually, no, I won't, because I completely spaced what I was going to do. So if anybody else, either Doji or Moto, if you guys want to go through your nightly routine, go for it, while I try to think of this.
I would spend some time meditating and then sit down and begin writing a letter. However, after all the events today, I would grow too tired to finish it and go to bed relatively early.
So Katagara would return to his tent and put on less proper attire, if you will, and hang up his good robes, everything like that, and basically just retrieve a brush from the chest that's in his tent, and he would go outside to the wooden post that is outside of his tent where his horse is tied up, and he would go through the nightly grooming of his steed before retiring for the evening.
Okay. And with that, we're going to kind of rewind a little bit. Actually, I'm going to say, before you guys all go to bed, you picture the evening before, when the host was talking about the gift of whoever wins the tournament. And you see this gorgeous looking armor that is a little bit, for those of you that wear armor, especially the heavier armor, you realize that it kind of looks the same. It just looks like it has a little bit more protection in the other like a bit on the side and that sort of thing. But it is very, very elaborate. Like, it is got a beautiful design to it, and it's basically a little bit more gaudy than what an actual suit of armor should be. And you are also told that whoever wins the tournament itself will actually be recognized as a Bushi, even though technically, yes, Ronin are Bushi, but more of a higher status than what Ronin are actually given credit for. And with that
title.
Yeah. And with that, we are going to jump to the morning. So, you guys, what time do you want to wake up in the morning? Like, do we have any early risers, or are we gonna kind of wake up around 7, 8 o'clock-ish?
Hoshiro would rise early and once again practice, go through his morning ritual, and also meditate before the matches begin.
Okay.
Haruma is an early riser as well, and he's going to go outside wearing little more than his sleep gear with his axes, and he's going to start going through his katas, assuming that he's probably the earliest to rise here in Dragonlands because they're all lazy as far as he's concerned. He's going to be pleasantly surprised by seeing the Ronin practicing as well, going through katas, and Haruma will nod to him and begin going through his own katas. Since you are a skilled warrior, you would know that Haruma's kata that he's practicing is called Strike as the Avalanche.
As Haruma nods to Hoshiro, he would of course nod back. And Hoshiro's not really dressed formally either. He's not really wearing a kimono. He's pretty much wearing pants, sleep gear essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And he would of course nod back.
And to your surprise, Kuruma, you would actually see a few dragon up at this point, but you could tell that they are monks. It's not you. You don't see any Bushi walking around.
Oh, so they're retired warriors. That's even better. Haruma's just going to notate it, seeing that they come from different clans and things like that. He kind of discounts it as maybe they're not actually dragon. Haruma's a little prejudiced.
And what about the other two? Are you guys going to just get up at like a normal time kind of deal, or?
So Moto or Katagara would get up and go for his normal morning ride. Just making sure that he had enough time to get back and be fully prepared for the tournament. Rose will actually spend the majority of the morning, unless disturbed, after getting up, outside where everyone is practicing katas and all the sort of hustle and bustle is going on, and she would just be sitting, meditating in like the loudest possible place, basically in this sort of camp area that's been set up here.
Okay. You guys know that the tournament is basically going to start at 10 o'clock, so you do have a couple of hours to do whatever you want. What about Doji?
Yeah, Hiroyuka would wake up earlier than he had expected, mostly because he fell asleep earlier, and he would go ahead and get dressed in his finer clothes that he was going to wear to attend, and begin walking around the ground, speaking to anyone he came across, and perhaps, once again, just scouting the area and seeing if there's anything that might have to do with his mission.
Okay. You do actually come across. Let me see if I can find their name. Come on, stupid PDF. You come across one of the Asahina, I think is how you say it. It's another one of the crab families. Not crab, crane. But sorry.
And I would greet them, of course, and would I remember this last night from either the ceremony or the gifting? Or
Remember?
yeah, would I be aware of the name or?
Yes, you know all the crane that are here, which is a little bit odd though that this particular family is here because they are mostly known for being pacifist. So it's a little surprising that they are here for a dueling tournament.
Well, since my magistrate training has also turned me into a pacifist, I would likely ask, are you here to spectate or are you sponsoring?
Um, at first, the does anybody know how to say that name correctly? Let me see if I can type it. I believe I typed that right. Yeah. Sanahine? Is that how you say it? Or. Oh well. But, anyways, he will kind of turn around to you, and at first he's almost bothered that you're speaking to him, but then he realizes on who you are, and he will kind of give you a polite bow, and then he will say, I'm here to spectate, looking to see if there's any prospects to join our clan.
Would I still believe that this is odd, knowing that they're pacifists?
It is a little bit, but it's not unknown for all family to look for more in the or to all of the families basically have some sort of combat in their. Okay, hang on for a minute, guys. I'll like chit chat for a second. My cow is going nuts, and I need to see what's going on.
Your
I
cows
was
going
going to say
nuts.
it might actually be a good thing as far as the pacifists looking for a duelist, because dueling is considered a honorable way to resolve things in a non-combatant type of way.
Right.
Duels are seen as like a competitive match, not necessarily a battle or like something to kill. Like a lot of duelists, they do first blood specifically so that they don't have to take a life.
All right. That's good. Yeah. I pretty much figured that why my
Some
character was.
duelists too will actually not even go into the duel; they'll just do the focus stage, and they'll admit at that point and say, "Hey, you're clearly the superior opponent," and they'll just avoid the duel entirely.
Wow.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Is the cow okay?
I guess I didn't quite see it, but it stopped hollering. So if it hollers again, I'm probably gonna have to go out there and see what the heck's going on.
Um, are there any other magistrates I came with, or is this mission for myself only?
Yeah, you're the only one.
All right.
As
I will
far as
say,
the magic.
yeah, then I would tell them it would be a great honor if you would allow me to join you as we spectate the competition today.
Um, at first, he kind of looks at you like he doesn't want you there, but then um, you can tell by his facial features that he kind of quickly uh, gives into the idea, and he says, "I would enjoy that."
Yes. I have spoken to many crabs and unicorns while here, and they have taken much pride in their combat. However, I think it would be good for all of the cranes to show that we can not only talk, but we can also fight.
Well, we do have quite a few Kikita here, and they are known throughout the lands of their uh, dueling skills. We should come out on top, I believe.
And uh, I would also comment, I travel a lot, and I miss being in the crane land, and the dragon land isn't as bad as I had heard. How are you doing here so far? Are you enjoying your visit?
Yeah, my accommodations could have been better. Being stuck in a tent isn't all too pleasant. And that this is maybe it's not something that you're well known to because you are a crane yourself, but here comes the basically the crane snottiness that they are known for.
Right.
And well, actually, you do kind of notice this a little bit more because You've been away from the crane land so long that you actually kind of pick up on that quite early, that he's doing that basically.
Yeah, and yes, comfort is always a struggle. However, you know, what is much more important is safety, and you do feel safe here, do you not?
And with that, he raises an eyebrow, kind of like the Spock look, and he's just looking at you like that's a bit. He in his mind it's kind of going like it's a bit weird that you're asking him this question. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I'll just see that quickly, and I'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry. It is my magistrate training, always looking to stop conflict before it begins."
um, and with that, he says, "You haven't talked to the lion, have you? They're always going on about conflict."
I had tried to talk to the lion, however, he was even less welcoming than some of the dragons have been.
It's no surprising. Of course, you know how lions are. And it's almost like he's kind of like calling them snotty, or yeah, snotty, and which is kind of odd because he's a crane and that's what they are known for.
Yes. But it is odd that only one of them have come to the competition.
Well, I'm actually kind of surprised to see that one. Um, Normally, lion are not known for their duelists, but I think he has come here for other purposes.
Wow, that was some fucking shade he threw there. The lion have sword saints, man. They actually are known for duelists, but duels to the death.
But that's what. Yeah, he's actually saying this on purpose.
Okay. And at this,
Um,
yeah, I'll kind of take note of the lion and say, well, perhaps we shall sit someplace close to the lion so that we can keep an eye on him as well as the combat.
if I can help it, I would prefer to sit far away. Um, I'm not sure if you noticed it last night, but the the air around him did not smell too pleasant.
That was, is that metaphorical or is that?
That is exactly how it sounds.
Okay. Uh-huh.
He's insulting without trying to
Yeah.
say it directly, kind of deal.
All right. Yes. And he will say, perhaps so, but perhaps it's also safer to keep an eye on those that we do not trust instead of allowing them to be where we are unaware. Anyway, I'm sure this is my own struggle, not yours. You have much to prepare uh, to see if your warrior is worthy of joining your clan. And seeing that I have spent a good deal of time, I'll probably work toward excusing myself and continuing my walk.
Okay. And with that, he will give you the same bow as what he gave you before, and turn around and kind of continue his walk that he was on. And if anybody else has anything else, speak now, or we'll kind of skip ahead to the start of the tournament.
No,
Alrighty.
once the morning rituals are complete, Haruma will go back to wearing full armor for the tournament. He's actually quite proud of this gift armor that he's received. It is for the moto who would have picked up on it. It is clearly a moto design. It's got plating that has been shifted into certain places so that it would lend itself well to being on horseback. though you're not entirely certain what horse beyond a moto horse could support a man of this size. um, and it does have stylized plates, like the shoulders resemble kind of the rocky carapace of a crab.
Just after I've finished my morning rituals and I've seen that the crab has finished his, and Chris, what is the name of his axis?
Oh, actually, you would have seen him without his shirt on, because it's the morning. He has a huge Hiroma tattoo on his back.
Yes. What are the name of his axes, though?
He does not have names as far as you're aware for the axes.
I was actually for the actual name.
Oh, they are. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's the hand axe. Masagiri.
Masagiri. As Hojiro finishes his little rituals and he sees Hiruma finishing his, he would walk towards the crab. Hiruma-sama, your skill with the Masakiri is quite something to see.
Thank you. These were my grandfather's blades. They've been handed down as a daisho set for many generations in my family. I'm hoping that that I can put them to some good use.
I am sure you will, Hiruma-sama. They are lovely blades. Quite an extravagant and very useful weapon.
Don't let the decoration fool you. They are quite useful in combat.
I can see they would be, especially with one of your statures. He doesn't laugh as he says this, especially with one of your stature, Bob, putting his weight behind the swing.
Hiruma kind of laughs a little. He says, "Yes, my height and size do help quite a bit. Come, we must ready ourselves. The tournament will be starting soon, and I believe you're part of the first round."
Yes, I believe I am. I wish your champion luck, Hiruma-sama.
And I wish you luck yourself.
Thank you. With that, he'll walk back in and begin to get ready. And he is getting ready in full mode, full top knot. Looks way more like a samurai than he usually does.
Okay. Moto, do you want to say or do anything, or after your morning ritual?
Once he gets back from his morning ride, he'll excuse himself into his tent, put on the appropriate attire for attending the tournament, and then see to it that Rose has prepared herself. Seeing that she has, the two would head to the tournament grounds at that point.
Okay. And as you walk out, you do notice Hiruma's armor, and you can somewhat tell that it's the same craftsmanship of what your armor is as well.
Like how the same? Like does it look like it was made by the same person who made mine?
It looks like it's
Yes.
very similar. It's definitely been crafted by a moto smith. The plates are in such a place that it would be very comfortable to ride for long periods in this heavy armor, which traditionally heavy armor is not designed for riding.
Gotcha. So with that, he would probably take a few paces over. So okay, so this is out of character question. It's only really it's still inappropriate for us to wear our armor at this tournament, right? It's just you're a crab, and that's why that's cool.
Tournaments you can. Often, if you are sponsoring someone, you would bring a banner with you, and where you take your seat, you would have like a box of your own since you're sponsoring someone, and you'd have your banner up when they're fighting, and take your banner down appropriately. Like if your champion gets knocked out, you'd take down your banner, but until your champion gets knocked out, your banner would be up, and you'd have a personal box. Some people would either wear their armor or simply have it on a straw man next to them inside the box.
Gotcha.
I
No, if
think
he thought it was okay for him to wear his armor, he definitely would at that point.
I
So
think you would because you're also Unicrane as well, so you do things a little bit odd. And plus, the Unicrane and the crab are such buddies that
Unicrane?
yeah, Unicrane.
Crane.
It's a new clan
Um,
relationship.
exactly. That in
That
my head,
bird is
you
gonna
guys
have
would show up to war, or you would show up to places, ready for war as well, because you kind of have that mindset like the crane, or crane, wow, the crab. So, but that's completely up to you if you want to show up.
No.
In your
I mean, anytime that he feels like he could justifiably get away with wearing his armor, he would much prefer to wear his armor. He
Okay.
just will respect the times where it is not okay, but only begrudgingly. But yeah, no, if it's kosher for him to wear his armor, then he absolutely would. So that being the case, him wearing his, full suit of white armor would definitely approach Hiruma at that point. I notice the craftsmanship of your armor, not to say any fault against any of the Crabland smiths, but I recognize that working.
Yes, I'm unfortunately not familiar with the smith. It was given to me as a gift from Moto Alistair. I protected his caravan, and this was the gift he gave me in return. I'm quite humbled by its craftsmanship. It's actually a lot more. He kind of catches himself because he realizes what he was about to say is kind of rude. He says, "It is more than I could have expected from any clan gift."
It is a fine gift indeed. I believe I am familiar with its make. If I am not mistaken, it looks as though it were made by similar hands to my own. And this Alastor you speak of, I am familiar with him. Interesting that he would choose such a gift. Obviously, he has good taste.
I would agree.
And you see him almost pause for a moment. I am pleased to hear that you were able to save his life and that he paid you back appropriately. It is only befitting that we pay the crab the respect that they are due when they come to our aid as well.
Togemuni will nod, and he says, "Of course. As I said, you are an extension of our clan at this point. I believe that our relationship has been solidified by a treaty this last season, and I see no reason to break that at any time soon."
Neither do I. I shall have to make sure that my brother-in-law hears about how well he has treated you.
I expect to get good use out of the armor, and he'll kind of shift one of the plates like correctly in place that was just a little off.
And at this point, you guys would actually hear the gong noise. Basically, it's the first gong for you to basically start making your way up to where the tournament's going to be held, and it's about 9:50 ish. So you guys still have a few minutes before everything's going to start.
Ruma will
But
take out his flagstaff and begin assembling it because it breaks down and screws together. And he'll put a flag on there, and typically a samurai's flag will have their family crest or their clan crest on it. Where that is there's a mon mark where a circle would be, but there's absolutely nothing inside of it. Underneath it, he has a mon that was given to him by his Ronin, which he claims is the Koga mon. It's a stylized wolf mon, but who knows if it actually is.
okay. And with that, as you guys look out on where the tournament's going to be held, there is multiple rings scattered throughout. You think there's probably roughly about 20 rings, and you could see servants kind of moving around telling, not servants, another Bushi, sorry, a dragon Bushi, kind of directing where each combatant needs to go. And of course, one would come up to you, Hiroshiro. Now I'm starting to run into trouble on speaking. Hiroshiro, and direct you where you need to go.
Okay.
And informs you that your first duelist is going to be a Kikita, um, and that's all the information he gives you. And with that, he'll come up to Moto and Haruma, and also, well, he's approaching you guys, but he's mostly approaching the Ronin and directing them where to go. Uh, and he informs your Ronin of who they're facing, but are you guys close enough to overhear, or?
I would have gone
Yeah.
to my appropriate box.
Okay.
She's
Right,
here to
yeah,
prove
same here.
herself.
Okay. And as they get to their circles, you guys will see that um, they are these particular ones. They look like they're Ronin because they do not have family mon or clan. Excuse me, but they are wearing the colors of the crane. And with that, Doji's, you are going with uh, the crane member. Like you're going to sit with him, correct?
Yes, I feel like now that I've been invited or invited myself, I should sit with the family. You'll all be in their box.
Okay. Alrighty.
Do I know
And
where the lion is?
um, at first, he's kind of hard to spot because there's only one line. But then as you start looking through all the different flags for the sponsors, you do kind of spot his quite easily because it's the only yellow flag with a lion on it.
Yeah, I'll be glancing in that direction fairly often.
Okay. And with that, we are going to take a 5-minute break for bathroom, drinks, whatever, and we will be back.
Cool.
Anyone back yet?
Hero, please.
I left my. Oh, would it hurt anyone's feelings if I left my cam off?
It's not gonna bug me at all.
No.
I've been that way, less distracting, more focused on game. The rest of y'all. I don't know, I've just been sitting down too much today, so I'm gonna be standing up and marching around.
Uh, I have my hangouts minimized most of the time, anyways. But how are we on time? Like, how long do you guys have left to play, basically?
I can play to whenever.
Because I didn't quite realize, like, in my head, I was like, oh, this would go pretty quick, but I didn't quite realize that you guys would roleplay so much, so it's taking longer than what I might have expected, so this might turn into a two-parter.
I mean, I'm cool with it either way. I kind of need to be done by midnight, so I've got 2 hours left that I can go.
Okay, you're central, right?
Yeah.
Because you're...
We're in the same state, brah.
You could have moved, bro. I hadn't talked to you in, like, 4 months, so... Actually, you did move.
Yeah, that was part of the reason.
Alright.
I don't work tomorrow, so I'm not gonna be the party pooper.
I'm semi-retired, so.
I probably will stop us, not necessarily at midnight, but I'll probably stop here in a little bit, also because I like cliffhangers. And if I have an idea on where hopefully we'll get to, it'll be a really good cliffhanger.
Nice.
Cool. I'm down with some hanging off of cliffs.
It also gives you guys a good reason to play some more. Get some more points, XP points and shit.
Okay, what all do I need to read to totally understand this culture? Is it just
Mainly just the core.
First 100 pages of the core rule book.
Alright.
Yeah.
Because I read everything that dealt with the crane, but
Really, it wouldn't hurt for you to read the other stuff about the other clans, because that will give you insight on how they look at things.
Or
Or
at the very least, how they look at your clan.
Mhm.
Good idea is to at least read the first 100 pages of the core rule book, then you got a pretty decent grasp of it.
Yeah.
So
we're just waiting on Chris to get back?
Yeah. I've read through the crab and I've read through the crane. I only have another 90 pages.
Something like that.
I like the lion. I like the lion, the mantis, the unicorn. That's somewhat about it.
I don't think there's a clan that I don't like, except maybe the Phoenix. I'm just not a big fan of them for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like or dislike the scorpion or spider because I never get to play one. So
it's always the wrong time period.
Yeah,
I like
got to play. I got to play I think it was a scorpion or a spider. I don't remember which now. Once, and that was in Chris's game where me and Josh and Kyle, I think, were out on a boat. We were playing ninjas.
Yeah, it was Scorpion.
Yeah, it was Scorpion.
Yeah, he was doing the like L5R adaptation of that absolute tabletop module. Oh, hey, there he is.
I forget the name of the module, but yeah, it's an absolute tabletop one.
Reef, right?
It was like Riptide something.
Yeah, there you go. Riptide Raid.
Yeah, Riptide Raid.
All
that's what it is. It was fun. It was actually a pretty good model to label it off of. I kind of wish I took a little more time on it instead of just kind of doing it right away like I did.
I had fun. But
because I was
Chris,
converting it to like a whole different system, so.
How long do you think you can play for tonight?
Midnight, or after if you need me to.
No, I planned it wrong, and I forgot that L5R is more of a role play heavy, And
Mhm.
so, like, if this was D&D, we'd probably be done by now. But
It's 'cause-
because it's not D&D, it's
Yeah.
L5R. I might turn this into a 2-shot.
Well, that's pretty much why I tell everybody when they're prepping for L5R, prep very simple because players will fill in the blanks.
Oh yeah, and you guys, I will state this now. You guys are doing an awesome job on role playing. I wish I had like inspiration I could give you guys because you all would probably earn 2-3 points by now.
I mean, you could just hand us free rerolls. I'm cool with that.
Or void points.
One of the
Alright.
things that you could do, if like we do something like, let's say that, oh, I want to convince this person, we tell a convincing like RP, and then we roll our roll. If you wanted to give us a bonus of like an extra roll, that would be appropriate.
Okay. Hopefully, I will remember that when the time comes. But at this stage, we are going to start the dueling. Of course, everyone will see the matches going off, and it's not just one swing, it's done. You could tell that each, if you examine over the tournament, you could see that each fight is kind of taking more than just 5 minutes. You can tell that each opponent is kind of assessing their opponents and determining when they should strike, that sort of thing. But we are going to jump to Moto and his Ronin. What we're going to do at first, we're just going to RP the fight, so you don't have to worry about winning or losing. Just kind of, I want you to take control and give us an awesome description kind of deal of how your fight goes down. You can choose to win or lose it. It's up to you.
Okay. So, Rose squares off against her opponent. Another Ronin. He looks very confident in his abilities as she, sort of very plainly takes a stand across the ring from the gentleman. She doesn't take up a stance. She doesn't take up anything of that nature. She simply places her left hand on the scabbard of the sword in preparation and standing, just fully straight up at the time. The opponent squares off against her and takes his stance. And when the cue comes, both blades are drawn and lock into place at the hilts almost instantly. Her only stepping like a short distance forward, but has the blade, squarely, across his, holding back his as he presses down with all of his might. She spins around, allowing him to stumble forward, and quickly slashes in an upward motion before resheathing her sword as you see like the blood start to drip onto his kimono.
And with that, there is kind of a referee outside the ring watching intently, and he will raise up a flag as soon as there's blood drawn. And with that, we are going to jump over to Hiruma with, I forgot her name,
Mariko.
the Koga wannabe chick.
Yep. Mariko is faced up against another Ronin, correct?
Yes.
Okay. She will bow to her opponent as is tradition, and both of them will take stance. And for the onlooking crowd, they simply stare at each other for a few moments, making minute changes to their stance. The other Ronin will step forward. She'll change her grip. She'll take her back foot and move it slightly to the left. The other Ronin will do something else to kind of compensate. And they go back and forth for a moment. And what's actually happening is they're in the focus stage. And inside the focus stage, the Koga, she envisions the battle, and she sees it play out every way possible. With each little minor change of stance or grip, she rethinks the situation again and sees how it could go. Sometimes this other Ronin wins, other times she wins. After what seems like almost too long, about 10 minutes, the other Ronin centers himself into center stance, bows and politely declines the duel, realizing that he would not be able to win.
Very cool. And with that, the same thing, the referee would kind of hold up the flag, basically signaling who won. But, of course, there was no blood drawn for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we are jumping over to Doji. And the crane that you're sitting next to actually leans over and says, "Look at that. Two of our entries have already failed. I guess they will not be entering the crane anytime soon."
And he says, yes, perhaps with more work, one day they might prove to be better. However, the competition is much better than I have expected. It is a pleasure to be able to watch such fine duelists.
You could tell that he is just kind of disgusted, like at the point that the members that the crane are, supporting are losing. I know you are saying you're keeping eyes on the line. Are you watching his duelist as well, or are you just watching him?
When I, with more and more cranes being out, I'm probably less interested in the matches, and I'm more interested in remembering what I was sent here to do. So yeah, definitely I'd be interested in the duelist, as well as the line. And honestly, after seeing the disgust of the crane that I am sitting by, I would probably leave the box and make my way closer to the lion.
Okay. As you walk over, though, you are kind of keeping an eye on the match, and you see that his combatant wins the match, but the person or the sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up. His combatant is fighting in a very odd stance, which is most of the Ronin here kind of fight in an odd stance too, because for one, you're not a combat-oriented person, but from what you've seen, this combatant is his stance is completely different than all the others. And with that, we will jump over to Hiroshiro. Hoshiro. There we go.
And you're wanting me to just describe how it goes?
Mm-hmm. You can win it, you can lose it, you can throw it away, whatever you want to do.
Okay. As Hoshiro enters the ring, he of course bows to his sponsor, the Lord, and then to his opponent. He would fall into center stance, same as his opponent does. And they would also begin to watch one another. Subtle adjustments to their stance, a slide of a foot, the grip, the position of the grip on the sheath. Well, actually, yeah, the position of the grip on the sheath, the position of the grip on the handle of the blade. It just goes on for, it seems to take a little too long, about 6 minutes. And finally, they both rush forward, and as the Kikita draws his blade to strike, Hoshiro slips under it, kind of sliding on his feet as his own blade leaves its. It's not the Suba. What's the word for sheath, Chris?
Saya.
Saya. As his blade leaves its saya, striking out the opponent's leg. And both combatants come to a stop as a slow trickle of red begins to soak into the fabric of the opponent's kimono. Hoshiro quickly swings his blade down, dislodging the blood from it, sheathes it, turns around, and once again bows to his opponent. And the two step off the stage.
Okay. And again, the same thing happens. The referee holds up the flag, indicating the victor. Um, you guys start to look around at the other combatants, and most of them are, nicks and grazes. It's not too serious of a wound, um, but there are a couple of them that are pretty serious wounds. Like a few of them got hit in between the shoulder and the neck, that kind of area, and it looks like that was pretty deep. Um, but it does look like the opponent will live, maybe not be a duelist anymore, but it does look like a few of them uh, will be able to continue on with their life. Which, not sure if that's so much of a victory or not. Um, you guys are given, I'm going to say it's probably around noonish at this point, so they are going to kind of stop and let the combatants rest for a moment and also eat lunch. So you guys are actually taken back to the same area that you were there at last night, and this time instead of people bringing you out food, they are actually taking your order. If there's anything specific specific that you want, you can order it.
Haruma's going to make small talk, and he's going to comment about how there are crane sponsored duelists who seem to have learned the Kikita school as Ronin. Very clearly pointing out that that's kind of skirting the rules and almost akin to cheating in a Ronin tournament.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Doji, you are nearby and you hear this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say that you guys are all kind of like sitting together. You didn't plan to, but you just kind of happened to end up sitting next to each other.
And I would surely congratulate the others, admitting that we had good combat. I only wish that some of our cranes were as good in to fight, both mentally and physically, as your fighters seem to be.
Interesting choice of words, as it seems your fighters are being represented here in any case. However, I can't say that I would imagine the Crane would trust their reputations as duelists, even in such a tournament as this, to the talents of untrained Ronin.
Well, okay, just like you, I have met several Crane who are looking to see if anybody is worthy. However, I fear that the ones we were sponsoring are not quite as well as the ones you have found.
Luck of the draw, I suppose.
I would also mention the lion and say, it appears that that one lion was fighting in an odd style. Have either of you ever seen anything like that?
No, not in that particular style. I know that Mariko is supposed to have a strange style about her as well, but I have yet to see it. My match was rather uneventful.
Iruma-san, Mariko would have won that match.
I can see that.
Iruma-san.
I am unfortunately not well versed in dueling myself. I find the whole thing honestly a little boring.
We can definitely both agree to that.
I can see how some would find it boring. It's the battle of wits that intrigues me. Though I see what you mentioned, Haruma-sama. There's some of the Crane champions have held very unique stances. Their forms somewhat similar.
Regardless, I'm sure that a victor will emerge.
Are all of our contestants there, or just Hoshiro?
That's kind of up to you guys if you brought along your contestants. I'm kind of assuming they would. And also, you would also see in the room as well as the sponsors and contestants as well. So it's kind of up to you if your contestant came with you or not.
Gotcha. Cool. So with that, Rose would probably comment to Hoshiro, "You're quite exceptional with the blade. I hope that I make it through the tournament. I find that one can only truly know another through combat."
My grandfather has said similar things, Rose. Your skill with the blade is quite exceptional as well. I would look forward to facing you in a match. He kind of smiles to himself. Your form is somewhat reminiscent of my mother's.
Yes, I have been told that it lacks focus, but I find that it is the only way that I know.
Unfortunately, my mother and father both died when I was very young. What I remember of her style, it's very similar to yours.
I learned mine from my own father. Interesting that she adopted it.
Yes, quite so.
Okay. And with that, you guys, of course, eat your lunch, and I'm assuming that Haruma orders more food after a few minutes again.
He's enjoying this because usually on the wall, like the people who have the large advantage would be given a little bit more food, but like being sent out here, he's just enjoying the fact that the dragon have more than enough food to satiate his appetite at these meals.
The the crab and the unicorn would both notice, and the mantis and the crane would find it slightly odd, but Hoshiro does actually order red meat.
I was gonna say if they've got it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of the time, of course, being in the dragon lands, you would not find red meat, but because of this occasion for this tournament and the location of where you guys are, it's not that hard to get red meat from the unicorn. So
Okay.
basically, yes, you can get red meat.
Huzzah.
Oh, you said huzzah. I thought you were going to say something else. That's why I was waiting. It was like, and what else? But no, it was huzzah. All right. So with that, after you guys are finished eating, you are not immediately sent to go back to fighting because that would just make you sick. They kind of give you like 30 to 45 minutes break to basically kind of process your food. So is there anything that you guys would like to do? Run around, talk to someone, go kill an innocent child?
Hoshiro would meditate.
Okay.
No children have earned my ire yet. No, Haruma will go have a conversation with Mariko, and because I don't like role playing with myself, I'm just going to talk about what the general context of it is. More or less, Haruma is complaining because there was no actual duel. Because he doesn't really understand duels, that this was considered a very good win. He's like, no, I want to see your fighting style. You have to prove yourself. Regardless of what you think, the next duel you get, you will fight. And Mariko will nod, and she'll finally pull back this head covering that she's had over her face pretty much the whole time. And she kind of locks eyes with Haruma, and she says, I will prove myself. And this is kind of the first time that she's actually spoken since arriving. It's only then that anyone nearby would notice that she has the evil eye.
Very cool. And so, does anybody else want to throw their 2 cents out there?
I think if anybody's listening or paying attention, the conversation would finally, like, as much amusement as Katagara's getting out of this whole thing. The unicorn reputation is to a certain extent at stake here. So he would finally really have the conversation with her, like, you know what you signed up for when we got here. Are you actually going to be able to fight your brother, if that's what it comes down to? And it basically just the conversation between the two of them, that yes, she's willing to do so, but she, there's no way of her knowing for sure until she's actually across the ring.
Okay. And where does this conversation take place?
We would go to the side. We're not going to go hide off in some darkened corner, but it wouldn't be just in the middle of everyone.
Okay, I was just wondering if Hiroshiro would be able to overhear that conversation, that sort of thing.
It's certainly possible. Like, they would go far enough away to where they weren't actively, within earshot, but he also would not try to stop Hoshiro, if he noticed that he was trying to listen in. He would probably have the conversation somewhere in plain sight, just far enough away that someone would actually actively have to try to listen.
I got you.
At that point. But no, it's basically just her giving him that the most important part of this for her was being able to actually meet one of her family members. But that, yes, when it comes down to it, she feels confident that she can. However, she can't know until she's actually across the ring.
Okay. And at this point, Hiroshiro, you actually see Ozen come up to you, and which was kind of odd. He wasn't up there with you when you stopped for lunch. He was there watching your match, but afterwards he just kind of seemed like he disappeared. And then he kind of comes up to you, and he almost wants to jump out and hug you, kind of deal. You kind of get that vibe from him, but you know that, or he knows that that's not good form, kind of deal. And he is just ecstatic that you won, kind of deal. He had confidence that you would win, but he's just happy that you performed to what he was expecting. And he's just kind of giving you compliments and basically patting your back the whole time. Not literally patting your back, but figuratively.
I would simply say that, Saruchi-san, the competition is far from over.
Not exactly does he say it this way, but he's hinting that you basically have this competition in the bag from what he saw. There's not many that has the skill that can compete with yours. And again, he's just kind of painting this target on your back. And he's saying it out loud, but he's not yelling it, kind of deal. So
I would simply say, I'm glad you have such faith in me, Saruchi-san. But I have noticed at least 2 contestants that could compete with me evenly.
Oh, if you're talking about the Lions Ronin, I don't think his, and he's trying to think of the word, his unique style would cause you much problems.
That wasn't actually the opponent of which I speak.
Oh, there are others? Sorry, I did not get to see all of the matches, for
Yes.
business had came up, and I had to leave after your match.
Yes, Suruchi-san. The crab and the unicorn both have competent champions.
I love that you're not telling your sponsor that's your sister. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Though I feel I was getting ready to say something. I feel that I should inform you of something in a more private area.
Um, he will kind of look up towards the sun and seeing how it's almost time to start, and he will say, "Does it have to be now, or can it be after the next match?"
To hold it, to keep the realization private much longer would bring dishonor to myself. And with that, he kind of motions, but politely motions, like as if he's offering to step to the side rather than saying, "Let's step over here."
Okay. And with that, he will. I mean, you're kind of motioning, but he will actually make it more of a suggestion that you guys do step off to the side.
Uh, Once they step off to the side, uh, Shuji-san, I have learned a rather startling fact. Apparently, the unicorns, and he's saying it in a very low voice, apparently the unicorns champion is actually my half-sister.
And he kind of stops for a second, and he's just like, you. His facial expression is just blank, and then then he says, "Is this going to be a problem?" Like
No,
he doesn't see the issue here. Like, okay,
no.
she's your half sister, big deal.
Should we end up in a match together, I will compete to the best of my ability.
Okay, then I I don't see an issue.
I felt I should tell you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you uh, telling me this.
And with that, he'll bow to him and say, Tsuruchi-san, I should get ready for the next round of matches.
Yes, please, by all means. And with that, you guys do at this point will hear like the gong to return. That actually sounds like a really cheesy B movie. Gong to return.
Oshiro would go back to the place where he waits for whatever match he's in.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Da, da, da. Let me see. Okay. And where is Doji heading off to now?
I would have been making my way around, congratulating slash consoling just the different sponsors, clearly revealing that I do not know all that much about combat, but I think I would wait and try to return to a place relatively close to the lion to keep an eye on him for the remainder of the competition today.
Okay. Alrighty. And with that, when you guys return, you notice that the number of rings have reduced quite a bit because there's not that many combatants left. But there's still quite a bit of number. Um, again, Bushi will come up to you and direct you each to your own ring. This time, Hiroshiro is fighting against a Ronin. This one is going to be a Dragon Ronin. And then, let's see, Hiruma, you're getting one of the other Crane Kikita that's left. It's still a Ronin, but it's one of the Kikita. And then Moto, you are getting one of the not Mantis. Damn it, I'm running out of people. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Phoenix. There we go. Okay. And so to start off with, we're going to go with Hiruma. Um, do you guys want to roleplay it again, or would you actually like to roll this one out? I will tell you there's going to be about 2 more days of tournaments. Not 2 per day. Like, we're going to have another one tomorrow, and then that's going to shrink the number down again, and then the 4th day will be the last day.
I think because we're in the preliminaries, I'd still like to go ahead and do the role play because I think it's a little faster.
Okay. That's fine with me.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. This time, Koka goes into the match. She seems much more dedicated to her cause. When she steps in, she takes off her hood, and there's definitely whispers amongst the crowd because not only did she break into seizure the night before, she is now showing the entire populace that she has the evil eye, which is 2 discolored or two eyes of different colors, I should say, and it's considered an ill omen. The opponent that she's facing, the Kikita, kind of grips a little tighter on his saya, seeing this. Clearly kind of a superstitious man. She goes into stance, and this time when they call for it, without hesitation, she moves forward to strike. The Kikita lashes out first, a little bit faster, but Koga maneuvers herself just slightly, so that what she ends up doing is she brings around her whole sword, saya, and everything, deflecting away the blade, and then doing a full round turn as she draws her blade and strikes at the Kikita. The cut is quite deep, and it will cause a wound that the Kikita will have to deal with, but it is not enough to kill.
Very cool. And with that, again, as same as before, referee with a flag throws up his flag, basically saying that there is a wound.
She will see the flag and immediately clean the blade, which she takes out a small handkerchief and wipes it clean, and then she sheaths the blade again.
And with that, we will jump over to Hiroshiro.
Hoshiro will once again walk into the ring, bow to his sponsor, bow to the host, and once again bow to his opponent. And they both fall into stances. Again, there are subtle changes to the stance as they carefully weigh one another, take into account each other's skills. Each of them play the battle over and over again in their heads. And finally, the dragon champion stands straight up, bows, conceding the match. Hoshiro, of course, bows to him, and they both leave the ring.
Okay. And Doji, what are you just kind of staying where you are watching the matches, or are you moving around again?
I would, if I could find a place, I would be seated behind the lion, hopefully where he can't notice for a while. But if nothing's going on, I would walk back to where the other cranes are, and not really join them, but also keep an eye on them. At this point, I've seen enough combat, and I'm not overly interested in it, so I'm more focused on my duty than the combat itself.
Okay. When you get back over to the crane, you note. Well, first I'm gonna do the Lions match. Um, his combatant actually causes almost a too grievous of a wound, but or not a wound. Basically, he does 2 wounds to this guy that he's fighting, which is you're not quite sure if he did it on purpose or not, um, because of the severity of the wound. It looks like he did, but the look on the fighter's face tells you otherwise. So you're a little confused on that aspect. And of course, you not being a combat uh, person yourself, you don't. It's just one of those fields that you're not sure on.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
too
when you
I'm
go
too
ahead.
far away to like read his face to really do any type of awareness or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
probably wouldn't even notice the severity of the situation until I saw the vast amount of blood um, from the wounds, and then I'd be a little more uh, interested. But once again, with me not being too knowledgeable in combat, I would know that he's an injury, but probably wouldn't be aware like the others about this controversy.
Yep. And so far, looking around at the other matches, you don't see anybody else this wounded. There was, a few in the first round, but so far in the second round, you haven't seen any wounds that are this severe. And then when you get back
Who,
around to
who
the
was
other,
injured?
um, the person that the Lions combatant was fighting, it's just like a random NPC, random Ronin, that was not being sponsored by one of the Great Clans. He was actually being sponsored by the Hair.
Yeah, I might see if I can take a note to speak to the Ronin or to someone who might have a little more information about this later, maybe over a meal tonight. But
Okay. And then when you reach over to your fellow cranes, you can hear them kind of going back into that disgust of their duelist losing again. And they are getting extremely frustrated. But then at that moment, the last Kikita that is left actually wins his match. And that doesn't necessarily make them happy. They're still disappointed, but it's,
yeah,
it's yeah, I forgot where I was going with that now.
yeah, I
So,
would probably still be confused of why so many of the Kakito are giving up before combat really has begun. Um, just thinking that, you know, giving up this early. I'm not a dishonor by any means, but not understanding what these duelists understand that the duel has already been decided. So I might, just be pondering, why do so many duelists give up before anything begins?
and with that, we will jump over to the last combat. Last but not least, the Moto and his redhead person.
All right, so Rose enters the ring, seeing that this opponent is larger and by his build looks stronger than the last Ronin she had faced off against. You notice that this time she actually places one hand on the saya and one hand on the hilt, still standing straight and not falling into a stance after bowing to the host. Katagara and then her opponent. She turns profile to where her side is actually facing her opponent. When her opponent draws, she draws as well, and you notice that she basically lines up her arm to be able to sort of guide his sword down her own blade and stop it at the hilt, only being able to hold back the weight of and force of his strike with one hand by putting her arm in line with her body and being able to sort of lock it in place against it. She sort of parries it to the side, and it, goes crashing into the floor, but the duelist quickly recovers. She faces off against him again, blade now drawn with her arm extended outward, and makes an effort to sort of quickly parry by actually striking at his blade, to counter his attacks, until finally, in almost a fencing-like motion, twirls around and manages to rip the sword from his hands, and send it tumbling across the duelist arena.
Very cool. Almost choked on a peppermint. And with that, there's still a few more matches that are going on, but it does seem like most of them are ending, and we're starting to approach around 3 o'clock in the afternoon kind of time period, and seeing how it's this time of day, when the last match ends, they will sound the gong to basically say that we're finished for the day. And with that, a Bushi will come around and approach each one of you and basically telling who you're going to fight next in tomorrow's round, and inform you that the rules are being changed. Basically, instead of doing an open combat like this, we're going to move up to where we are basically the dining hall, and it's going to change from a one-on-one combat kind of deal, and it's going to be a lot slower kind of deal. I'm not sure if I explained that right, but basically we're going from everyone fighting at once to one match at a time. There we go. And that you guys are basically free for the rest of the evening. So, who's going where to do what?
So on their way back to the sort of tent city that's outside of the tournament, anybody who was paying attention would probably hear a discussion between Katagara and Rose over her awkward fighting style, and basically almost just asking, like, how does that even work? Like, how do you even fight with a katana like that? That doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't Moto use the bow mostly anyways, right? Or this is me asking as how the character.
There's some slight revamping being done on that front, but yeah, I mean he is definitely a horseman by nature, so either bow from the saddle or spear, something along those lines.
I got you. So, what does Haruma say or do, if anything, to his Ronin that just won the match, or her match, I should say?
He doesn't really do anything or doesn't really say anything to her. Once she's done with the match, she'll kind of look to him like she's seeking some sort of reaction from him, and all he'll do is just nod once, taking into consideration that she's just shown him that she knows how to dual wield, and that's actually part of her dueling style. Okay. Once everything's done and we've been told that we could break for the evening, Haruma's going to try and clear his head by indulging in sake.
Okay. Where are you going to indulge your sake?
I
Like, are you?
assume there's probably a tea house somewhere around here.
Yeah. Um, Basically, you guys are on the estate at the moment, and if you actually go down into the city, which isn't far, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a small walk. There are you know two different. Well, you have the tea houses, and you actually have inns as well that will serve you sake or tea, whichever. But you do have plenty of choices um, to take your pick from. And is your Ronin going to join you, or are you like going off on your own?
No, she's actually fasting. That's something that didn't come up since she had a seizure at the meal, so she's not doing alcohol or food at all during the tournament.
Okay. Um, Really quick though, Moto and it wasn't Ruby, Rose. Are you going to your tent, or where are you kind of heading off into any certain direction, or?
Um, I mean, he would probably be going to. It's not. I'm assuming it's not okay to go to tea houses in your armor and that sort of stuff, or is that acceptable?
Mm. If it's a tea house in the city, probably they don't care. I was gonna say if it's the inn, you probably shouldn't go in that because those are usually higher quality.
Right, gotcha. So yeah, if that's the case, he would basically just be going back to uh, the tent, drop off the like the flag and stuff like that from the tournament, and after that, he would probably make his way into the city, and you know find one of the local tea houses where a drink could be had. Rose will stay at the camp, preferring to meditate.
Okay. Are you going by any chance to the same tea house that Haruma is going to, or are you going to a separate one?
I have
I
no
would have gone
idea
to the
which
regular
one
tea
he.
house.
Yeah, right. So sure, then yeah, I would. He's not going to anywhere special, so he would go to probably the first one that he ran into, like going from here
Okay.
to into the city. So if that's the same one,
Pretty
then
much.
yes.
Alrighty. And Hiroshiro, Ozen will walk up to you and again congratulate you on a well-earned victory. And again, he's kind of giving you not necessarily, or he's being overconfident of your skill, um, saying basically there's no one else that might give you any trouble. Like he doesn't see it. Of course, he's not a duelist. He's a courtier. Um, what do
Uh,
you? Yeah, go ahead.
Once again, I would thank him for his belief in my skill, and tell him that I will be at the inn later should he need to speak with me more. But if he would please excuse me, I must go clean up.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Um, well, hang on. You said you're going to the inn, or
Yes.
okay,
Uh, with that, if he excuses me, he would return to his tent, quickly bathe himself, tie his hair back into a simple ponytail. He would fold up the kimono that his sponsor had given him after washing it, hang it up, let it to dry. Dress back in his normal kimono. He is keeping the sword and wakizashi that his sponsor gifted him with on his side. Then he would quickly take out an ink brush and parchment and pen a letter to, or well, brush a letter to Rose. I wouldn't actually be penning a letter. Sprinkle some sand on it, fold it up, walk to her tent and kind of slip it under the flap, and
okay,
then head to the tea house. The same one that Hiruma and Moto would be going to. And
Okay.
basically, the letter says, if you wish to talk to me, we should probably meet here, as it would be improper to be seen in one another's tents, as very few people know we're related.
Now, you said meet here. Are you meaning meet at the tea house, or are you meaning?
Meet at the tea house, a public
Okay.
forum.
Okay. And with that, as you um, basically exit your tent and be walking over to Rose's tent, you do see Ozen kind of going from crowd to crowd of people. Mostly it's the crane and dragon that he's talking to, and every once in a while you can overhear him mentioning something about trading. Trying to. He's basically bargaining and trying to open up trade routes.
Yeah. He kind of smiles to himself and adjusts his straw hat. And basically slips the letter under her tent flap and heads into the town.
Alrighty. And with that, we are going to jump to Doji.
Still being quite interesting in the wound today. I think that Doji would try to talk to some type of doctor or official who might have more information about, whether or not this was intentional.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there just for you, kind of.
Yeah.
You do see all three party members head out, basically. You're not sure exactly where they're going, but you can see that they're leaving the estate. So you wish to either talk to a doctor or an official, which...
Yeah, I mean,
which
the other...
which would-
Yeah, someone who has more information about this,
Okay.
injury. And for the other three, I mean, they are acquaintances I met,
Mhm.
and they're people who I'd be more than comfortable going up and talking to. However, I have my own job, and I don't think any of them formally invited me.
I was just saying,
Yeah.
like, as a mental note, you just see them leaving.
All right, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say you think a doctor would probably give you a little bit more information um, than what an official would, because he's just there basically to observe the rules, and the doctor can tell you more about the injury itself.
All right. Yeah. Then I would try to be able to speak to the doctor who treated this Ronin.
Okay. When you enter or approach the medical tent, you notice that the tent is closed up at the moment, and they're not letting anyone in at the moment. And you can actually hear, not necessarily screaming, but you can hear someone inside kind of moaning. Um, and you hear also other voices like, hold him down, hold him here. And uh, that's basically all you would actually hear from that. Well, and you would hear splashing of water as well.
Is there anyone stopping the doors or the tent from being able to be entered into?
No, you can enter the tent if you wish.
All right. Yeah, I think I would enter it.
Okay. When you do, it kind of looks like surgery is happening, but I'm trying to think on if they actually would do surgery. I'm going to say that they are just trying to clean the wound as best as they can and try to stop it from bleeding at this point, as they are trying to. Actually, let me ask Chris. Chris, would a Shugenja be there on standby to heal wounds, or can Shugenja heal wounds?
Shugenja can heal wounds. It would be using the water element. However, doctors do have surgery in Ryugan. It's basically Chirurgeon, so you don't want surgery if you can avoid it.
Okay.
So typically a Shugenja would be the preferred method for healing.
Yeah, all right. So I'll kind of keep going with what I was having. Is they're trying to clean the wound as best as possible and stop it from bleeding, as they are waiting for the Shugenja to show up, as he was busy with other patients at the moment.
I would definitely keep my distance, not wanting to interrupt any of that important care. However, I would stay at a distance and make sure that as soon as I had the opportunity to talk to somebody who wasn't busy trying to treat um, anyone, then I would speak. But I wouldn't feel like my questions are more important than someone in need of care.
Okay. And at first, no one kind of takes notice of you. They just kind of think that you're um, like a table or something, just kind of standing there, as everyone in the room is ignoring you, trying to treat this man. And then after a few minutes, a another man comes in and goes directly towards the table, and he uh, basically holds out his hand, and you can see that he closes his eyes and he starts speaking. Um, what exactly you can't quite hear. And then at that moment, kind of the rest of the people that was kind of surrounding him kind of back off a little bit, giving this new person room. And at that time, you do see a few others kind of break away, checking on a few of the other patients, maybe taking the bloody water out to be thrown away, that sort of thing.
Um, if I feel like I'm not interrupting them, I would see if I can approach them and speak to them.
Okay. Um, are you? I'm guessing you're not approaching the Shugenja directly. You're going to approach one of
Yeah,
the others.
just one of the other ones treating. Just someone who would have had a good look at the wound and um, someone who definitely looks like they have experience treating wounds, or they would be a little more knowledgeable in like what your normal wounds are not in one of these tournaments.
All right. So you approach one of the people, and when you first approach, they kind of ignore you at first because they're a little bit busy trying to treat a patient, but he's got like a minor wound, so it's not necessarily that big of a deal. And then they realize that you're still standing there, and then they kind of quickly apologize and kind of turn and get their attention to you.
Yes, and I say, no need to apologize. What you are doing is far more important than anything that you can offer me. Um, I just have some interest in the patient over there, and I'm looking to the table, um, who was seriously injured today.
Okay. What?
Yeah, and yeah, I'll say, um, I have not seen that many tournaments. However, is that type of injury common?
Um, most of the time, it's not. Or sorry, most of the time, having a grievous wound like that is. But in particularly, this wound was very odd.
What do you mean odd?
It wouldn't stop bleeding. No matter what we tried, we couldn't stop it from bleeding. I'm hoping the Shugenja can uh, heal the wound.
Oh, I had heard that some in the crowd cried that this was some sort of cheating. Do you believe that that might be the case?
Um, as far as I'm trying to think on how to word this. As far as the actual the way the combat went down, I'm not sure, but whatever caused this wound wasn't from a normal blade. And remember, the person that is injured, this guy was he was fighting the lion
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
I just
that's yeah. That's why I'm interested, because the lion is one of the people that I'm looking out for, or on the lookout for. And I would say, um, in what way might this blade be different than the ones that the other fighters are using?
well, it's not exactly my place, but I believe that the blade might have been, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's a she. She kind of stops for a second and is looking around a little bit, and she lowers her voice and says, I believe the blade might be poisoned, but I'm not sure. I do not have any evidence of that, other than the wound would not stop. There are a few places on the body that will continue to bleed like that if it's wounded or it has been cut, but I've never seen um, a wound in that area bleed like that.
And there's no way to um, for the doctor to be aware if it was poison or not.
Um, I'm going to go ahead and say no.
All right. That sounds like a safe
Um,
answer.
well, because he's not trained in poisons or anything like that, and
Right.
he's not trained in dealing with poisons. He's trained in dealing with, cuts and bruises and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm saying no.
Yeah. And having heard just enough for me to know that things might need to be looked into farther, I would thank the doctor for her time, and uh, definitely, if I had to introduce myself earlier, introduce myself and let her know that one of the reasons I am at this tournament is to make sure that nothing like this happens to anyone, especially those outside of combat. So please feel free to tell me anything else that you might fear. And then I'll probably make my way out of the tent, seeing that there are some more injured people that need treatment.
Okay. She does look at you a little confused, like, because for one, everyone is on the imperial state, and there's plenty of guards around, and there's a shit ton of Bushi. So she's not quite sure what you're meaning by fear. Like, she has nothing to be afraid of, kind of deal. So,
Well, I was using fear more like in the like anything that you think might be, abnormal.
mhm.
Not necessarily anything that scares you.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I got what you were saying,
Yeah.
but that's the way she took it. Was she wasn't sure. And with that, we will. Oh,
All right.
unless there's something.
No, that was it.
All right. We will jump to the hooligans in the bar. Um, so, Haruma, since you got there first, why don't you go ahead and describe what you're doing in this tea house, and you can also describe like how many people are in there, that sort of thing. If it's like super busy, that's kind of up to you.
Um, yeah, being the tournament inside the area, the tea house is quite busy. Haruma will have sat himself down, kind of close to the door, and once he's ordered his sake, it tastes the exact same as any other like tea house sake that you would get pretty much anywhere else. Like a little bit of variation because every tea house spices it its own way, but he kind of complains to himself and he says even their sake seems contemplative.
He's
It's
just
about
not happy.
Oh no, he absolutely has prejudice against the dragon. He is not happy to be here.
Okay.
Um, After a little while, he will notice Moto come in, and he'll wave Moto over, ordering another I forget what they're called. the decanters or whatever they're called of sake, the little bottles.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called either. I have one.
Which he'll order for Moto.
Okay.
Pretty much insisting that Moto sits with him and has no choice.
Ah, Haruma-san, thank you for the sake.
It's starting. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. It's starting to approach 4 o'clock-ish. So I don't know if you guys want to stay here until it's dinner time, so you can order. But after a little bit of role playing, if you guys decide, hey, my character's getting hungry, I'm going to go ahead and order something. Feel free to do that. But go ahead and get back to the role playing. Chop chop.
Yes, I figured with today's events, we could use a stiff drink.
Agreed. Your duelist is quite impressive.
She is unique. I have not seen a dual-wielding style like that before. After the duel, I was able to inspect her sai. It seems that it's been reinforced so that it can function as a second weapon.
An intriguing style indeed. I am afraid that I am not well versed in the medium, so to say that I have not seen such a thing would be to say that I have not seen many duels in my time.
I'm not sure how well it would work on the wall. That is my concern. Unless my clan seems to find a reason to use a duelist to take back our castle, I don't see much of a point of having a duelist.
I would concur in that regard. It seems, though, that a style as adaptable as that, where one is literally using the entirety of their daisho as a weapon, could be quite useful in numerous situations. Against the Shadowlands, though, I somehow doubt it would lack the same effectiveness.
Perhaps they intend to use her for the courts. We're not the most well-received family in the courts, unfortunately. Perhaps having someone who can duel and represent us properly would be what they're after.
I suppose the real question would be, are you going to make her spend time on the wall beforehand, and will she live to see the courts?
If she is successful in convincing me, she will be accepted into a 20-goblin winter. There, she will have to collect goblin skulls and prove herself as any other Ronin joining the crab. This upcoming winter, however, it seems that we have the luxury of being choosy in who we accept on the wall.
I see. There are many who wish to compete. Well, I would be interested indeed to see how her fighting style fares against a Bakimano.
I'm interested to see how she does overall.
Yes, I suppose we are discussing things as if they are givens. So to be fair, for your sake, and for the investment of your clan, I hope that she makes it through the tournament to see what that fighting style is like on the wall.
If not, then it will be no loss for the clan. That is the best part about these Ronin. If they prove themselves, they can be quite the asset, and if not, we don't lose much with offering them a chance.
Yes, simply the time being spent in the discomfort of such stuffy company. Like, him noticing your obvious distaste for, like, everything that's going on.
Haruma just kind of smiles and says, well, soon enough the championship will be over. and I will be able to travel to new lands. My Daimyo will be satisfied, and I can continue my quest.
Satisfied. Tell me. I must hear of the story, as intriguing as your duelist is. How does such an obviously capable, at least from appearances, warrior end up being tasked with babysitting a Ronin at a tournament?
He kind of gets a little tense for a moment, and he says, "I am unfortunately seeking the approval of my Daimyo. I have failed him once before, and he has given me a chance to redeem myself. So, any of his behest will be treated with the utmost respect, and I will carry out my duty as he sees fit. As soon as I am done with this, I intend to gain back the honor that I have lost."
I see. A noble choice, then. I will see that you carry out your task as it was given to you. If there is anything that I can do to facilitate this in any further manner, please do not hesitate to ask it of me.
I do have a question for you. You mentioned that you knew of Moto Alastor.
Yes, he is my brother-in-law.
I believe he must have told you of Toritaka Hanaka, the woman who was leading the bandits that struck out on his life.
I must confess, it has been some time since I've been home, but my wife did mention in a letter something to that effect.
The only thing that I would ask of you is if you were to gain any information of Hanako's whereabouts. She is wanted as a criminal from my clan. It is my fault that she continues to live, and I must find her so that I can gain back that honor.
I would be more than happy to provide that information should it come to my ears. Not that it changes my decision, but may I ask what the Toritaka is wanted for?
He kind of looks around, and not being one to really pepper his words much, Haruma leans in, realizing that this is not the crowd he should really be saying this stuff in front of. He tries to say it very quietly, but he's still kind of a big loud guy. He said, "She was involved in a Maho plot."
And with that, his eyes would, very definitely perk up. If I hear word one, you will be the first to know. And if I come across her before you, I will make sure that she lives until you have your vengeance.
And at this point, Hiroshiro will walk into the inn, but we are going to jump back to Rose when Hiroshiro dropped the letter into her tent, because she is in the tent meditating, correct?
Uh-huh. So no, she would actually have been outside meditating. So she probably heard the letter get slipped under the tent, and would have, gotten up and come around just in time to see Hoshiro leaving, and then gone into the tent to see the letter.
Okay.
At that point.
So I'm assuming that she picks it up and reads it.
No, she just stares at it, loving it. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, absolutely. She picks it up and reads it, and seeing the proposal, she kind of takes a moment, and looks to the chest in her tent, where she opens it to find some slightly more formal and less drab attire than that, of her duel, and it takes the time to bathe and prepare herself, and then would go to the tea house.
Okay. So with that, we will jump back to the group. Yeah, we'll jump back to the group. So, Hiroshiro just entered the tea house. Do you guys call him over, or does Hiroshiro go off on his own? That's up to you guys.
Yeah, Haruma would call him over.
Oshiro would walk over. Haruma-sama, Moto-san, it's a pleasure to meet you. And you can tell he's calling you Hiruma-sama because he doesn't know you very well, and he is a Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
Hoshiro-san, come, sit, join us. There is much sake and interesting discussion.
It's my pleasure to join you, Moto-san, and of course bow to both of you before he sits. Moto-san, you would see him do something that you have seen him do because you traveled with him. Hiruma would have never seen him do this, and it would be slightly odd. But he will reach into his kimono, take out a small paper that he unfolds, reads, and it's a prayer. It's just a simple Shinto prayer that he then folds back up again, touches to his forehead, lights in the candle that's on the table, and sets in a small cup to burn as he orders sake.
And with that, Moto, as he's done in the past when you recite prayers, just sort of rolls his eyes, but doesn't comment.
Haruma sits quietly and observes, but he's not going to do anything to distract you from your prayer.
Once the tokakuri, which is the flask or decanter of sake, comes over, he lets the prayer completely burn to ash, and he picks the bowl up and kind of gets all the ash in the center, then dumps it into the sake and quickly swirls it around.
Do you dump the ash in the container of sake, or just in like your cup of sake?
The tokakuri he ordered, yes, he dumps the ash in the container.
Okay.
So he swirls it around, pours himself a glass, and holds it up to see if the other two would like some.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Do you each have your own container of sake, or are you kind of sharing?
Yeah, Haruma would have ordered one for each one.
Okay. But Hiroshiro is offering his sake with the ashes to you guys as well. I'll let you take it.
And he actually says, Honorable Moto-san, Honorable Hiruma-sama, would either of you like to ingest the prayer with me?
Of course.
He would also pour a bowl for Hiruma then.
He looks at the bottle and then looks at Hoshiro. Your prayers always taste better than they do when they come off of my lips. I shall share.
Then he would quickly, he would also pour a bowl for Moto. He would look at Moto-san, I know it's an odd custom, but it is one I have learned and should bring protection to all of us.
Let us hope that protection is unnecessary, and that the tournament will conclude without any other but the contestants' bloodshed being involved.
Yes, this is always what I hope. Just in case, it is always good to hold tight to faith.
I simply fear for the lives of many should violence break out while Haruma's still in the city.
Haruma just kind of smiles at that, not really saying anything too much about it. He just swirls the sake cup.
With that, he begins to drink his sake and looks. Both of your contestants have done rather well.
I was quite surprised myself today.
As was I. It is rare to see a dual wielding style in a duel.
The only one that I knew of before this for the katana was the Miro Nitin. This is something very unique that Bushi has trained herself to do.
Yes, it is quite interesting.
I apologize if I have little in the way of commentary. I understand the unorthodoxness of the style. Not having any practical experience dueling, I cannot comment on its implications in such a manner. It was very interesting to watch, though.
And Moto-san, your contestant, a sister I didn't even know I had. Very interesting.
Yes, once I had found out the news of her existence, and it was proposed that the unicorn put up a Ronin for this contest, seeing yourself already taken, I simply went for the next best of the options I knew were available.
I should thank you then, for you have brought a member of my family to me that I did not know existed, but I am very happy to meet her.
She was also incredibly insistent. I see stubbornness as a trait that you must get from your mother. Is that what I'm to understand from what she's told me?
Yes. Wow. Yes, unfortunately, we've all gathered that. We've all gotten that trait from our mother.
Well, it seems to have served you both well thus far. And while the courts may not enjoy it, it's certainly a quality that I find somewhat endearing when not being a nuisance.
I would apologize if she has been a nuisance to you, Moto-san.
Not at all. Spirited, for sure.
Okay. And with that, speaking of the devil, she will actually walk in. But as she walks in, we're going to jump back over to Doji. As you are leaving the, I guess, surgeon tent, we'll call it, where would you like to go next, if anywhere?
Um,
It is starting to approach a little bit on dinner time for you, so if you want to go eat something or just eat there at the estate, you can.
yeah, Doji is clearly a little angry and distressed, having heard the news from the doctor, and so he would walk into the area where most others are eating,
Mhm.
and knowing that the next time he sees this lion, he's going to have a conversation with them.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's just like it's the area that you were there for lunch and also dinner the night before, but the host is not there. Um, but when you walk in and you kind of glance around, you notice a lot of the contestants and sponsors are not there. You do see Saruchi Ozen though, but he's doing more talking than he is eating. But you do not see the lion, unfortunately, and you do not see his combatant either.
Um, I will probably uh, try to sit down and I will order some food, probably the meat again. However, through being distressed that, perhaps this mission that they hit me on is really the case and that more people are in danger than just a fighter, I would really struggle keeping an appetite to eat, or really being of much conversation to the others around.
Okay.
And yeah, and so I would eat and then kind of walk the grounds after the meal, still keeping an eye out for this lion, and clearly being rattled, if not visibly angered.
Okay. Um, how long are you going to walk the grounds? Like, are you just going to kind of walk around until you decide to turn in for the night, or
Yeah, a lot of it is just trying to walk to relax myself and just enjoy the beauty. And probably after an hour or two, I will return to my quarters or my tent or wherever I am, unless there's, you know, someone who I feel like I need to talk to or
okay.
who calls my attention.
Well, that will most likely definitely happen. But first, we gotta get the other up to basically the same time frame that you will be in. Um, and as we jump back to the group, of course, like I said, Rose just walks in, and also, uh, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Haruma, your stomach rumbles because you are a big guy, and I figured that that would probably happen anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say after kind of having a nice conversation with them, Haruma's mind will definitely wander towards food again, and he'll kind of bring that up. He says, it is probably mealtime, and they would be expecting us.
Yes, we should probably venture back to partake of the meal.
He he'll nod, and Haruma will take care of the bill, not thinking anything of it, because he's done a lot of traveling. He's handled his own commerce more than a few times.
Hoshiro would nod his head towards you and thank you for taking care of the bill without thinking of it. Hoshiro would, of course, leave a tip or pay for his own something.
You have been most gracious, Haruma-san.
I am just thankful for the good company. It is sometimes hard to find like-minded individuals on the road.
Especially in this part of the world.
Agreed. He starts laughing.
Hoshiro laughs. You do not seem to like Dragonlance much. Unfortunately, I am from them.
Forget everything I ever said about you. No, I'm just kidding.
Haruma says, I would not have taken you as one. You do not seem lost in philosophical debates.
I am from the Nashi village.
Is your village known for their typical dragon tendencies, or are you an exception?
It is a Ronin village.
And that must explain it.
We are a little less like the dragon than most dragon villages.
I assume your relationship to the dragon is much like the Ronin of my own land. You are there for the protection of a greater clan, but you conduct your own businesses as you feel the need to. They stay out of your business, and you stay out of theirs.
Yes, very much like that. If the two of you would excuse me, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I must speak with my new sister.
Of course.
And I will go over to Rose and speak to her. Shall we head back for Mill? I did not expect you to take this long.
Uh, uh, of course, if that is what you think best.
Yes, let us walk together. And as two of them leave, he kind of looks over. So, a sister I didn't know about. And he immediately drops all formality as they walk out of the tea house.
A brother I had only heard stories of. Well,
Good, I hope.
One of a few. You are not the only of our mother's other children. Is that not correct?
No, there are three others. One sister and two brothers.
The other sister, is she a warrior like yourself as well?
Not like myself, but a warrior, yes.
I see. Is her fighting style like my own?
How much do you know of Mother?
Very little. I grew up with my father. He was a ship's captain from a place called Castile. Uh, I never, we never actually went. I grew up mostly on his ship until making my way back here.
I will say that she takes after Mother's family. And should we get to know one another more, and perhaps be inclined to talk more privately, I will enlighten you as to what that means.
Then here's to the hope that your sword skills are not great enough to fell me in our competition.
I try not to kill unless absolutely necessary, sister. But should we have to have a competition, I will fight.
I do not doubt that. Tell me, what was she like?
Our mother, fierce, determined, stubborn as an ox, according to my grandfather.
Yes, Moto Katagara, he says that that's a common trait in our family.
It is. Both I and your 3 other siblings all share this trait.
It seems to have served you well thus far.
It has, though some in the greater clans do not think it is such a good trait.
Obviously, the Mantis disagree. That is who is sponsoring you, correct?
Yes, the Mantis is sponsoring me. It's a funny story. I actually won a knife throwing competition against the man who was sponsoring me.
You won a knife throwing competition to compete in a sword fighting competition.
Well, it wasn't to compete. That is the thing that led me here. At the time, I suspected him of murder.
I am glad to hear that that was not the case.
As am I.
I understand the benefits of the station that comes along with being part of one of the great clans, but from what I have seen, is there not a certain freedom that one loses at that time?
There is. One of the reasons I am competing here is a stepping stone. I wish to get recognized by the Emperor. I wish our family to form its own minor clan.
I would like that.
That's what I. And after this competition, I think you and I should travel to the Nashi village. You should meet my grandfather.
Would he... wouldn't he...
He is Mother's father.
Oh. Then yes, I would very much like that as well.
Yes. Well, shall we go get something to eat?
That
Yeah, I
sounds
was gonna
like an
say-
excellent plan.
And they had to get something to eat, I suppose.
Yep, I was gonna say at this time you guys reached the estate because that was actually a pretty long conversation for the walk back, but it's still fun. You guys were awesome on role playing. Does Hiruma and Moto have a conversation on the way back, or is it just gonna be something short? And, like, I'm not sure if you guys want to role play it out since we only got like 13 minutes left, which I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna close this out here pretty soon.
I would
I
think
imagine.
so.
Oh, go.
I was gonna say, I would think it's probably not really a full conversation. It's more like pleasantries back and forth kind of thing.
I imagine it as you, like, seeing dragon things and being annoyed. My character egging it on.
Mm-hmm.
You're just pouring fuel on the flame, just like throwing
Listen,
cans and cans
sometimes
of
you
it.
just gotta poke the bear, or in this case, the crab. See what happens.
Yeah, you're gonna end up with a pincher on your nose, just like all those kids that have sticks poking a crab.
Wow, I'm not actually making fun of him. I'm agreeing with him. I'm just seeing how riled up I can get his character.
Okay.
He's composing himself well, as far as like his anger is concerned. Mainly because he's not really angry with them. He's just disgusted by their lifestyle of being like not being warriors, being contemplative scholars, and generally being disconnected with the rest of Rukagon.
Okay. And with that, we will pick up after dinner, basically. Like, you guys go to dinner, unless there's something else you guys want to do during dinner. But when you get back to the main area, you do not see Doji-san, because at the moment he is out walking the grounds. So, if there's nothing else, then we will go ahead and close it out. I'd like to thank, if anybody was watching, thank you. And this was Chris's channel, so I'll let him take over and do what he needs to.
Sure. So for all the players, thanks for doing the game and everything. For Chester as the GM, for you for running it, and we did have some viewers throughout the whole thing. And usually I get viewers towards like the beginning of the week. It's a lot of people catching up on videos, so we'll see that later on. But as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm from Drop Dice. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to plug as well? Okay, I think I was gonna say I think I'm the only channel producer tonight. So with that, guys, make sure you hit a like, share, and subscribe. Always comment when you get a chance or you feel like you want to add to the story or anything. I'm sure Chester will be looking at the comment section before our next game in case you guys give him any sort of evil ideas to throw at us. With that, thanks for tuning in. You guys, we'll see you at the gaming table.